It's Between Nerds. My name is Drew Philip Elias, and I am here with my co-host, Mr. Aldo Mendez. What's up, buddy?
What's up, brother?
What up?
It's been a odd week. It has.
Bro, I've had a garbage week. Absolute trash week. But I'm happy to be podcasting. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we're looking at LLC prices. If anybody wants to make a donation, I don't know. Just buy us the LLC.
Yeah. And another mic. That'd be nice.
And another mic. That'd be dope. Oh, and chairs. We want fancy gaming chairs.
Uh-huh.
I want that fucking 4K camera Bo Burnham had in the inside.
Everything Bo Burnham had.
Yeah, I want all that.
Just donate it.
But jokes aside, welcome to Between Nerds. This is episode 52? 53.
52.
52. Odd Taxi. We are going to be discussing the Studio OLM and Studio PICS production that came out spring 2021. But at the beginning of this episode, I do just want to go over some housekeeping notes. Please use hashtag Lady Nerds. That's LADYNERDS. Hashtag Lady Nerds to help us donate to Mija Yes You Can. They're an El Paso nonprofit working for the advancement of women in the area. And for the month of July, every time you use hashtag Lady Nerds, you will automatically be entered into our July giveaway. And you know what I mean? We just ordered John's giveaway like this past week. This shit's gonna be fire.
Oh yeah, because even though we do get giveaways, like we said, if we still haven't gotten it by the time you guys use this hashtag, which you guys haven't used it and you guys suck, but
we'll like cater the giveaway to you.
Correct, because I went to Robogato, and honestly, I don't know why.
What's Robogato?
Robogato, shout out to Robogato. It's a local anime shop and Gundam building shop. You can get utensils there. You can get Gundams.
Hit them up. Hit them up on the east side El Paso on George Theater.
Yeah. George Theater and Edgemere?
And Edgemere. They're dope. Really nice. It's a small shop. Support local, please. And they have dope figures and stuff. Like, they're specializing in import figures from Japan. Like, it's all... And, like, they order so often, so, like, few at a time. It's always, like...
New stuff there.
It's always new stuff there. And, like, the inventory is so small that, like, you have to go, like, once they post something. Because, like, they do get some fire sometimes. And it's gone in, like, 30 minutes.
Yeah, dude. Right now, there's some, like, JoJo's, like, 125, with a lot of articulations action figures. Oh, yeah. They look nice, but they're too expensive.
I've been shopping around for figures a lot lately. I kind of want something dope, but I don't know what it was. I'm thinking I might wait for the merchandise to come out for JoJo Part 6, because I'd be down for a Jolene figure, or like, you know, like clothes or something Jolene related. You know what I mean? And we know about a bunch of stuff's about to come out soon because the season's coming out. But
what I was gonna say is that in a lot of GameStops, I don't know why they pulled all their anime figures like out, and they just have like a little bit.
I don't know. Well, the thing about GameStop in particular is because they do have some spending capital right now because they had the rally on their stock. So I know that they were starting to put some more money into product and for sure advertisement. So maybe like while they're in that transition period, it's something like that, because they made a big deal out of it. They started hiring like new transformative staff at like on the executive levels. And I think it'd be cool if they did make it more modern, because GameStop's been GameStop for how long? Like
forever. It's like the next Radio Shack.
Yeah, exactly. So they just need to update their whole business model, if anything.
Absolutely. Sorry, I got a little cough. But yeah, please use the hashtag again. If you want to reach us at our email, it's going to be at podcast@gmail.com.
betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. But let's not beat around the bush. Odd Taxi.
It barely finished like last month. It finished 4 weeks ago, June 29th.
We watched it that weekend that it came out.
We watched episode 1 like the weekend the weekend it came out. I follow Mother's Basement like avidly. He's probably my favorite anime YouTuber, and I watch him a bunch on or I follow him on Twitter too, and he just would not just shut the fuck up about Odd Taxi. So I was excited, and especially after episode 1, it's like Odd Taxi is kind of like a Gretzko, but a lot more adult, but Agretzko was for adults too. So it's like
it's because there's no comic relief, almost.
Right? It's all drama.
It's very little. Yeah, it's a little more dark in a sense because it wants to touch in a lot of elements. Like it wants to touch on like the murder mystery kind of thing.
Yeah,
they want to like focus on mental health. They want to focus on the mob and a crime and stuff. So
it reminds me of like the classic like films, not movies, films from like late 90s, early 2000s. When you think like Reservoir Dogs, you think of it has a narrator you can't trust because we're not even sure how Odokawa, like not his motivation, but like even his interpretation of like reality. Mm-hmm. He's like, what's that movie that came out in the 90s that's about like somebody that keeps forgetting everything and he has to like keep writing all over himself to give him
the Book of Eli?
No. It's I'll remember it right now.
Oh,
Memento. Yeah, you know the thing about Memento is you couldn't trust the narrator. You couldn't trust the point of view that you were going through this character, and that's how it feels watching Odokawa. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of Reservoir Dogs because it's like the mob's involved, but it's like it takes time to give everybody their own backstory, and it's how like they're connected. It's a microcosm of a small community of adults in a subsection of Tokyo, and how they all connect to the last two episodes. Like, you don't see everybody in one episode until, like, the last two episodes.
It's crazy. It has and you think, like, the way you see it, and if you're paying a lot of attention to the animation, you think this is going somewhere easy, quickly. But it doesn't. Like, you almost don't know what the hell is going on before episode 3, because you're still catching on, and you're like, okay, I get it. I need to pay attention. Because it's not something easy.
It reminded me of Bakemonogatari, or the Monogatari series as a whole, because it's like there's so much conversation, fuck, and like it's
quick,
and it sucks because it's a sub, so it's like you're really reading. You feel like you look away for a second, you get like your phone vibrates, you look down, you look back up, and you just miss something big, and you're like, God damn it, like, and it's so, and again, that makes me feel. It reminds me of like a Tarantino film. It's like The Hateful Eight or something like that. Whole movie is just fucking talking.
Yeah.
And that's how Odd Taxi is at that same time. And it's adults. It's adults doing adult things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we follow our main character, Hiroshi Odokawa, which he is portrayed as a walrus.
He's a walrus. And again, it's like BoJack Horseman or Agretzko. Like, they're just animals and it's not explained. Well, it kind of is explained.
Yeah, on this one, it is explained because at the end of episode 1, we follow this taxi driver, Odokawa, and he has a friend. He has a doctor friend, his assistant, which is almost like the love interest.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yes, but no, but yes.
Yes, but no, but yes.
And towards the end of episode 1, he is with his doctor friend.
Oh, and the gorilla, his name's funny because it sounds like gorilla, because it's Dr. Gorika. And the scene you're describing is Odokawa's having problems sleeping. Like, he's just a severe insomniac. And just something about his brain, just like, it's not even that he's not tired, he's just always semi-tired. It's like Fight Club, you know what I mean? The beginning of the narrator in Fight Club, where he's just never fully asleep, he's never fully awake, but he's always working, and he's super just grumpy. And again, it reminds me of these powerhouse films from the 2000s, because it really, in that movie too, you couldn't trust the narrator in Fight Club because he was a fucking lunatic also.
Lunatic as well, yeah.
So just, and you kind of get the sense from like the music, like it's really like it gives a lot of space. Yeah, it gives a lot of space, but it will cue you when something's about to happen. And each character on screen, when they're introduced in a certain scene, will have their own like sound or their own music. And Odokawa, I didn't get a real sense of his age until the end, because like they try to describe it, but then he looks like an old fucking ugly walrus. So at first I thought it was like 40, 50 or something.
He is 41 years old, isn't he?
He's younger.
I don't think so. Well,
who even knows?
From what I'm seeing here, yeah. I don't know, but
he is 41. He is 41. But I'm sorry. Yeah. But I thought he was older, and he's just like this crotchety guy, and he just reminds me of those boomers that like doesn't even participate in society, but has something to say about everything and everybody in society. Like, oh, the people now are so fucking annoying or so irresponsible, and
they just work themselves to death.
Yeah, and in it. One of the first scenes is Odokawa just like driving, trying to pick up passengers while the radio's playing, and it's these really bad like stand-up comedians. It's like the fucking they give a name to it in Japanese.
Homo sapiens? No, the
Homo sapiens. The Homo sapiens, but they gave a name to their brand of comedy. Because the kind of comedy that they're doing over the radio is like they're doing shticks to each other.
It's like that duet comedy.
That super lame 1920s like punchline kind of joking. You know what I mean? So it's super lame, and Odokawa picks up like a kid, like a teenager. This guy Kabasawa, like this blue hippo, and the hippo. You start to see a pattern, because everybody he picks up that's actually part of like the story will tell him to turn off the Homo sapien radio show when they get in the cab, because I don't know, Odokawa just needs that white noise. But the thing about Kabasawa, he's like my least favorite character in this whole show. Like every time he's on screen, every time I hear his voice, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like,
it's so fucking crazy because he's just looking for clout.
Yeah, he's just a super loser person that like does not shut the fuck up about wanting to go viral.
And he just keeps bitching at... Why was he so impressed about Arakawa that he wanted to make a post of him?
I don't even remember.
But he was being pushy towards Arakawa, and Arakawa was just, like you said, an grumpy old man. Not old man, but 40.
He was just trying anything and everything to go viral. So he's just like, oh, you're a cab driver. Take a picture with me. Take a picture of me. Maybe people will just like that. And for some reason, he finally gets his picture with Odokawa, and it actually does go semi-viral. And that's what gives Kabasawa like he gets like a taste finally. He decides like it really is what he wants. So he's just going to keep going bigger and more dramatic when it comes to him trying to go viral.
And we don't see him for like the next 6 episodes. After this meeting in the first episode. And then who else do we meet on the first episode? We meet
So we do meet Mr. Gorilla, Goki, or whatever his name was. But then his assistant, the nurse, her name was Shirakawa. Shirakawa.
That's like the love interest.
And what I do think is kind of funny is their names. Oh, like there's so many characters that end in that awa sound. Like it's Odokawa, it's Shibaki, it's Shirakawa, it's Nishima, it's Kabasawa. Like there, you know what I mean? That's like 4 different awa names, like all at once. So it's almost like that's like the comedy that takes it away from Agretsuko, because Agretsuko's so light and dorky, but the joke is like that ugly, dry humor. But then you have to look into like pieces of dialogue, like the names, to be picking up on like patterns. That's more neat than funny, but it's cool. It's just weird at first because episode 1 is such like you're not sure what this is about yet. Like you don't even have a genre in your head yet.
No, and it completely threw me off from what I was expecting from it, because I don't know. I thought it was gonna be more like they were gonna pin.
It was gonna be Cheers.
I thought it was I thought they were gonna pin the murder on him.
We haven't even talked about the murder. You want to talk about the murder?
No, I'm just saying, but we're talking about murder.
We're not talking about murder. Introduce that this is about murder, right?
Well, yeah. In the first episode, between all those meetings of all those customers or writers that he has, there's this plot that a baboon character named, what's his name? Oba?
Daimon?
Dobu?
Oh, Dobu, yeah.
Dobu, and he writes a taxi because there's apparently a girl missing.
Yeah,
and he wants the memory card on his dash cam. So I think he gets out, and then he gets pulled over shortly afterwards, and the cop gets the memory card.
He doesn't even. He doesn't. That's not how it happens in episode 1.
No.
In episode 1, Dobu's not there yet. But what ends up happening is Odokawa is like trying to pick up customers, like you say, and he gets pulled over for no reason. And this is where we're introduced to the Daimon brothers. Mm-hmm. And so there's two. There's a younger one that's kind of stupid, and everyone makes fun of him because he's stupid and has glasses. And then there's a brother who's totally like a corrupt cop kind of character. And you see that even in like we're never led to believe that the older Daimon, even from like the first 5 seconds of him on screen, that he's a good guy.
Yeah. Like he's just like, hey, what's up, buddy? What are you doing here?
He's just obviously up to no good. So the scene you're describing is, so he pulls over Odokawa for no reason, and then he's like, yo, there's like a missing high school girl. I heard that the last time she was seen alive was coming out of your taxi. Mm-hmm. What's up with that? And so then that's when the older Daimon asks for the memory card, doesn't give it. But so the end of the episode is when Odokawa goes to the doctor with Mr. Gorilla Doctor Goriki. And while he's at the doctor, that's when the older Daimon brother is already there. And he's like, yo, open up your cab. I'm taking up the memory chip. Okay. Because it's not at the first instance that we meet Daimon that he takes the memory card.
Okay. Yeah. I must have forgotten. But yeah, it's a crazy premise because, like I said, at the end of the first episode, that's where we find out about his mental illness, and like he sees everybody portrayed as animals. And at some point of the anime, this becomes something like a buff, because he can tell who's who by their silhouette, because it's like, oh, that's a fucking monkey, that's a cat, giraffe,
yeah, because that becomes a major thing, is that like the conversation he's having with Dr. Goriki is Dr. Goriki knows that Odokawa is like a special kind of guy. You know what I mean? He's been coming for a while. There's nothing physically wrong with him, but he clearly has some trauma or something, like some PTSD that he's just not. That's why he's such like a bland, angry, crotchety, monotone character. Like there's clearly some trauma there that he's just like digested, and it's now a part of him. So Goriki tells him that joke. He's like, what do I look like to you right now? And Odokawa's just like, a gorilla, of course. And so him and the nurse laugh about it, because that's like the first instance that us as the audience are led to believe that like they're not all actually animals.
And also about the flashbacks that he has during the episodes.
Oh yeah,
he has flashbacks with more humanoid shades of like an accident that happened. Yeah. And so we are really led to believe that the world is not like this. Yeah. Like the animals is just in his head.
And it's such a cool, like the way the pacing is, because you forget about that. You know what I mean? Once you're like halfway through, you're just like, yeah, they're animals. What do you mean? You forget that these are actual like human, like animal hallucinations of human people. Yeah. That Odokawa is having.
And it's funny because at some point they talk about, it's like, what, you can see my aura or something like that? And he in his head, like in his inner dialogue, he's like, maybe it is something like that.
I can't say that. I might sound crazy.
Yeah.
And the end of episode 1 is the nurse Shirakawa gets a ride from Odokawa at the end of the night, and she's like, take me home, and she's trying to hit him up, you know what I mean? Like she's trying to get to know him a little bit and ask him a bunch of questions, and he's a crotchety guy, so he's suspicious right away. He's just like, what do you want? Like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? And she asks for his number when he drops her off. She's like, oh, maybe I'll need another cab ride or something, can I get your number? And again, he still doesn't trust it. He's like, sure, but like, why the fuck would you actually want it?
Yeah. And because he's so like not insecure, like in a way that you can see it.
He's just a realist. He's such a pragmatist. He's like, why would this pretty sheep or alpaca or whatever the fuck she is, or she's like an alpaca, like a llama almost. Yeah, she's got like fuzzy fur like a sheep, but she's got a long neck like a llama or an alpaca or something.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he's exactly like you said. He's just like, okay, whatever. This doesn't mean anything. Yeah. And I honestly, as you're reading it, because you're reading at the sub, I didn't even see the flirtation of her going. I was like, oh yeah, maybe she just does need a cab.
Well, maybe I was trying to take it in context, because I've been watching at the same time, and like I'm already halfway through, which is what we're going to be talking about next week, which is essentially the same anime that came out 15 years sooner. And and they're both about like microcosms of like small communities in the giant city that is Tokyo, and how all these people interact with each other. But it makes me think a lot about Japanese culture and how everyone's super private. So I guess that's the context I was taking this in. Because if somebody was super chatty with you, and
you're right.
like I took an Uber today because my car was in the shop, right? So I took an Uber to the gym. And I've always gone by that meme where it's like Uber says nothing for 30 minutes, 5 stars. You know what I mean? And it was weird to me that this guy was trying to talk to me. I'm like, why are you trying to talk to me, old man? But Shirakawa asking him all of those questions is what made him uncomfortable originally. So after he does this drive, though, it's kind of late in the night, and he goes to the bar. Like, he frequents a sushi bar with his best friend Kakihana. And the thing about Kakihana is he looks like a gibbon almost. He's like one of the smaller like monkey variants or something like that. And we see that he's like a janitor for like an important company.
Yeah.
But he's the kind of guy like, fuck, I hate Kakihana's like storyline too because he's such a loser. Like,
there's a lot of characters in this anime that they were purposely put there to be an annoyance from society, pretty much, which it is. Like, some are very cringy. You have your fanboy over like the band, right?
Yeah,
cringy. You have the janitor who is very catfishy.
Right, he pretends to be rich on like dating websites.
Yeah,
and no, I get it. We have the annoying kid that wants to go viral, and like but they're all like adults and they're all really people, so that's what makes it sadder, because when a lot of times when we're watching anime it's children, you know what I mean, it's teenagers, but here it's just like, dude, like, you're 40, like, you're not going viral right now, or like, you're never gonna convince some super pretty girl that you're rich. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah. It is very cringy at some points with the new characters, because all these new characters, you don't know that these characters are going to be attached to the rest of the story, so you find them more cringe, even though the first time you meet them. Yeah.
So the importance of this scene right here is that Kakihana matches with some super cute 18-year-old on a dating website. And again, that made me want to bring up the annoying thing that we have to bring up with Japanese like dating all the time, and their fuzziness when it comes to not pedophilia, but like what is too much of an age gap or what's appropriate. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times in anime and stuff like that, it's like, oh, 17, 18-year-old girl, like, free reign, even though I'm like 40.
Yeah, it's
they're fuzzy on the ethics when it comes to dating, like, outside of your age range.
Yeah, and it's like it's almost like a status symbol for like man over there. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, he gets excited. He's like, oh, I just matched with this hot 18-year-old. I'm totally gonna buck a hot 18-year-old. Like,
yeah, it's like, I'm gonna marry her because she's in this marrying website, right?
Oh my god, I forgot all about that. Yeah, so like a big issue about the website is that it's people actively looking to get married like immediately, which makes this guy even more of a fucking loser.
And that's not till later, right? But
the website, I think it had something like on the page, but yeah, that doesn't become an issue until later.
Yeah.
Because the next scene from here is we meet our pop idol group, which ends up being like super, super important. We're at a Mystery Kiss concert, and we're watching the main girl, like a puppy, like she's like a poodle almost, with like white hair. Her name is Rui, and she's signing autographs for people like that, and she's having a discussion with the biggest fan of Mystery Kiss, who's like this boy who I don't even remember.
A wolf or a hyena?
Yeah, he's like a puppy or something. That's what I was gonna say. His name's Imai.
Yeah,
Imai. He's just this. What Rui's talking about is he was one of their fans when at their very first show there were only 5 people in the crowd, and he's just like, and he's just this one fucking loser losing his mind.
Let's go. Yeah. He burps.
But yeah, Imai becomes important because he leaves this Mystery Kiss concert with the news that they're going to have a single reveal and they're going to have their opening CD on sale, and like it's their big break, and that's how they're doing it. And this guy, like you were talking, Imai's a fucking loser. Like he's absolutely obsessed with this pop idol group who sees him as nothing more than like a source of cash.
So he gets a taxi to go to the gas station to get a lottery ticket,
and it's Odokawa.
and it's Odokawa, obviously.
Obviously it's Odokawa. Yeah.
It's fucking Taxi Cast Confessions, bro. HBO Taxi Cast Confessions.
That's 1,000% what it is. Which is cool. Yeah. It's cool. It feels like a sitcom almost. Like all the big conversations are happening in the backseat of this taxi.
And so when he gets dropped off at the gas station, Imai asked him, is like, give me some numbers, I'm gonna pick them on the fucking ticket.
Well, that becomes, so he goes in Odokawa's car and he's like, hey, can you take me all the way to Shibuya? He's like, nah, dude, that's kind of far. Or no, he's like, how far can you take me with $20 to Shibuya? And he's like, not that far, bro. It's not on the way. And he's like, please, mister, just do it. And he's like, well, I'll take you as far as $20 gets you.
Yeah.
And in the conversation, he's talking like, oh, I keep buying all these lottery tickets for Mystery Kiss, and I'm not winning on any of them and not even breaking even. And Okawa's like, well, so you have all this money. You're just wasting it on these stupid raffles.
You're just willing to waste $20 right now on a taxi. And his big plan is to get money because since he's such a diehard fan and heard about the album release, he wants to make them explode. So he wants to buy a shitload of copies of this CD, which is the most ridiculous shit you can ever do as a fan.
It makes me feel like really sad because like all these guys are losers. So a lot of times not in anime mediums, but like when I'm listening to like NPR or Pod Save the World or something like that, when Japan's brought up, it's like kind of sad because it's like there's several generations of people that don't know what it means to like really establish like family systems, and like they have a declining population because they have a very older population. Not a whole lot of people are actually having kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And almost every male character in Odd Taxi is like an example of why Japanese men aren't prioritizing having kids or establishing a family. But not like I am. I'm not trying to have a family or anything like that. You accidentally started a family.
Yes.
but it's like they don't even want to get a girlfriend because they're always hyper obsessed with something that's not actually about trying to live with another person or establish a relationship. It's I'm going to spend all my time and all my money on an idol group. I'm going to spend all my time and all my money taking out loans with the fucking mob to pretend I'm rich on dating websites. I'm going to spend all my money on gacha games. You know what I mean? It's just different levels of just losers.
And recording equipment.
And podcasting equipment. And giveaways for said podcast. But, so, yeah, that's how Imai's supposed to make us feel right here.
So, again, we're getting blasted with fucking characters. Boom, 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 back and forth. We already met Imai. We already met the octopus that you hate, the cops. I do believe we see Dabu talking to the cop at one point, but we're not introduced to him yet, right?
I think we get Dabu right here. Because, so he drops off Imai. Imai's getting out of the cab. He's like, yo, just give me some random numbers. I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. And again, Odokawa's like, just you had money for a lottery ticket, but you couldn't pay me more? And so he gives us some random number. And then immediately pops in like this baboon. Like he's wearing like a swaggy purple puffy jacket.
The overhaul jacket.
Yeah, the overhaul jacket from My Hero Academia. Exactly. That's how you know he's a fucking mobster.
Yeah.
Just like Overhaul was. Exactly. And he's got a gun. Like, so the second half of episode 2 is Dabu in the back, and he's like talking to Odokawa. He's like, yo, I heard there was this girl that's missing inside of your car last week. You're probably the last person to see this bitch alive. Like, give me your cabin data for your car. Who do you work for? What's going on? All this stuff. And it seems like Dabu has like, I don't know if we figure out here, but he's like, the daughter is like the classmate of his boss, like the boss of the mafia and stuff like that.
Correct. I think it's the daughter, right, of him?
Something like that. Yeah. It's some super convoluted. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
Weird. Oh yeah, it is convoluted. Yeah. But yeah, he is. Was it the mafia?
It's the Japanese mafia. What do we call them?
The Yakuza?
The Yakuza. It's some Yakuza scheme because originally Odokawa thinks like Dabu wants money and something like that. And
he's like, I only made $20 tonight.
Yeah, I only made 20 from this one stupid fucking kid. I don't even remember where it goes from there, but it's just super like scary, and this is where we get like that
tension.
That tension that's a prequel for the end of the tension from episode 1, because that only happens for like 5 minutes or so, and immediately after that, Odokawa picks up another pair of like passengers who are the Homo sapiens, that radio comedy group that he's always listening to. And the thing about them is he hears them arguing in the background, and right away, like, Odokawa, as like their big fan, like notices their voices and how dumb they are, and they're just arguing with each other. They're like an old married couple. And one of them's just like, oh well, he takes First, he shows like a game on an app that he's playing, which is like a farming simulator, which seems super unimportant, but becomes semi-important later. Yeah. But immediately after that, he takes a call from his agent saying that he's gonna like host like a kids TV show, like how Nickelodeon used to be in like the 90s or some shit. Yeah. And his partner wasn't invited. And the storyline with the comedians and how it's connected to everybody else is probably like the most loosely affiliated storyline. Like, they could basically
not be there.
Almost not even be there, and the story would be exactly the same.
Yeah, I don't know why that was put there, man. It was my least favorite of the whole thing,
because it doesn't matter. None of these two don't matter, but their names are I don't know. One of them is he's a
hog, like a wild hog, and the other one's a giraffe or a horse? No, a horse.
A horse.
Yeah.
So it's Shibagaki. He's like the boar, and then his partner is a
Baba Matsuya.
Yeah, he's like a donkey.
A donkey? Okay, an ass.
Yeah, he's an ass.
And I guess it's funny because you do listen to them in the radio in the first episodes. And you're like, okay, I kind of wonder what's
and you
going
hear
on.
their voices all the time. Like every time, like the show wants to fill in blank spaces, it's just Odokawa in the car listening to these two.
And it's just like, at least the comedy, it's a little bit hard to translate when you're reading it from a translation of Japanese. So it's just cringy.
It's super cringy because going from there, that's like the end off to episode 2. It ends like on just a stale joke about like the group of these two guys that we're just introduced to. Their relationship might be on the rocks because one of them's getting more gigs and more jobs than the other one. But episode 3, Borrowed Plumes and the Bodyguard, is about Kakihana and Odokawa at like a spa. And there's a lot of episodes that start like this because this is where like they're gossiping almost, like, and this is where the thing about Japanese like bathhouses and spas and like saunas and stuff like that is that if you have a bunch of tattoos, they're almost always gang related.
It is because in Japan they won't let you, if you have like this tattoo that we have, you have a tattoo on your sleeve, like you will have to wear long sleeves to enter a place because they don't allow, like, tattoos are very taboo. So yeah, the Yakuza members are the only ones that actually expose their tattoos and stuff like that.
And the reason why I'm bringing it up here is because there's a tapir, like an overweight looking tapir guy who's described to be an older gentleman, and we just have to take their word for it because they're all animals, so we can't actually see anybody's age.
Yeah, but he's
tatted. Like his shoulders are like all black ink and these big ass Yakuza roses, like a totally fucking mob tattoo.
And he's talking to Odokawa.
Yeah, he's talking to Odokawa, and
it feels like they know each other. Which at this point, as a first time watcher, if I feel like in some way Odokawa is affiliated with the mob.
Yeah. And he is, but it's almost like he didn't know it. Yeah. And we don't even know that until the end. Because the very next scene after this is Dabu trying to blackmail Odokawa again. And he like Odokawa's a smart guy, even though he spends all his time in a taxi, and he tries to keep Dabu talking, and he's like, "Why do you need my cabin data?" And he's just like, "Well, a girl that I'm interested in was last seen in your cab, so please give it to me." And then he starts explaining that, like, "Oh no, that police officer took it." And he's just like, "Oh, okay, then I'll get it." Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Because I think there was like an after credit scene, or like one of the last scenes in like episode 2 or episode 1 was one of the cop brothers handing off the data chip to Dabu. Mm-hmm. So Dabu has his hands in a lot of places, and he's the one trying to manipulate these cops and make them
do shit. They're in the pocket. You know what I'm saying? One of the cops is in the pocket, and we know that because of that last credit scene. And fucking Arakawa, he's smart in a way like Rambo smart. So that's why it's like you feel.
What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Like he has some sort of like military experience or some shit like that, because he thinks very like strategic to situations, which is like a Rambo thing. And that's why I was excited to watch. I was like, oh, is this gonna be like Jason Bourne? He's gonna remember some shit like that. But it's not, but it is, like you said, towards the end.
Yeah, because the issue right here is he's trying to keep Dabu talking, because on his cab like light on the top of his car, he can change like the wording on it, and he has like a button that can make it flash SOS.
Yeah, why is it under the seat? Why wouldn't you put it like on the dash somewhere?
I don't know. You would think it'd be on the dash, because they would never know. You know what I mean? You're just pressing a button on your steering wheel, and all of a sudden your SOS light's on. But see, that's why he's trying to keep him talking. And then so he's keeping him talking so that he can get pulled over, and he gets pulled over, and Dabu still has the gun. And he's like, "Hey, don't fucking say anything, or I'm gonna blow your brains out." And it ends up being the fucking Daimon brother. Mm-hmm. And the Daimon brother just comes up and he's just like, "Yo, who's over here?" And Odokawa tells him straight up, he's like, "Yo, I'm being held at gunpoint. I'm thinking I'm being robbed." He's just like, "Oh, stop being dramatic. I don't see anybody back there." And just walks back to the car.
He even like ducks his head, looks at Dobu, and he's like, "I don't know." And
I don't know, man.
He goes back to the car, because even when the cop is approaching, before we know it's the dirty cop, even Dabu is like, "Fuck, please let it be the older brother. Please let it be the older brother." And he comes.
He's corrupt.
And he's corrupt. So it's like, okay, cool, whatever. So the cop goes back to the car where the younger brother is, and like they have some kind of racism to cab drivers, because they're like
the parents were killed by hit and run with a cab. Yeah.
And so the older brother's like, no, the younger brother was like, "Is everything okay? I heard something about a gun." He's like, "Oh no, that guy was just being dramatic." He's like, "Really?" It's like, "What? Are you gonna believe a cab driver?" Like that's gonna.
But that works. It triggers his brother. He's like, "Well, I hate cab drivers. They killed mom and dad."
And they just jet, but like it's hilarious to like just I'm gonna map my entire knowledge of how cab drivers are out of that experience.
So Odokawa, like, no choices left, because even the cops won't help him. Just takes his deal with Dobu, because Dobu's like, "You're gonna help me figure out what happened with this girl. You're gonna help me with whatever my plans are." And he's like, "Or I'm gonna shoot you." And Odokawa's like, "Well, I don't care if I die, so just fucking shoot me then." He's just like, you don't care about anybody? You don't love anybody?" He's like, "No, I barely have any friends. I live alone. I don't have any family." But what Dabu brings up is Shirakawa, the girl from the end of episode 1, the llama, exactly. And then again, I kind of hate this about Japanese culture, because so in one breath I'm complaining in this anime that all the guys are cucks and like want to fall in love too quickly, or they don't actually know how to like establish a relationship adequately. But in that same breath, I'm bitching at like Odokawa being a bitch. Odokawa and Shirakawa, but they do that Japanese thing in anime where they're like, "I love you," when really it would be more closely translated to like, "I like you" romantically. You know what I mean? Like, remember in middle school when you're just like, "Oh, did you tell a girl you liked her?" Yeah. "Oh, you like her like her?" Did you like her like her? Or like, "No, but I don't love her. I just like her." Yeah. Like Japanese culture, at least in anime, or it's being translated in this way that they never differentiate between the two.
They're always like, "I love you,"
when really it's just like, "I like you." Like, I'd be down to like try a relationship kind of thing, which isn't love, or how Americans understand love, right?
Correct.
Because that's what's happening here. So Dabu threatens Shirakawa, and Odokawa's like, oh, but I love her. When you're romantically interested. That's not love, Odokawa. Get it right. This is why it's not working for you.
But in the same breath of Arakawa, like, yeah, he is kind of infatuated with the girl already because of the brief conversation they had.
Yeah.
But
he's texting her too.
But he's also knows that she might be in danger.
Right.
So that's what he made him act.
Right, because so before Dabu got in the car, he was texting Shirakawa, and she was going to meet him at the park. So Dabu gets out of the car, it's super tense, like he was at gunpoint for who knows how long, and immediately he just zips the fuck off. Like he's going through alleys and shit, and he's just going super fucking quick, and he almost hits a pedestrian on his phone. And that same pedestrian, like, drops his phone in a super dramatic way, and you see, us as the audience see, it says, like, super rare...
Dodo bear.
Dodo bird on the phone. And we're just like, okay, that's dumb. But and that's, like, all we see in that scene. And it's still Odokawa driving away super quickly to get to the park to meet up with Shirakawa.
We're almost like, Jesus, Horikawa, like, chill the fuck out. Because... like you said, we see it for a split second, and you're like, oh, shit, he almost ran over a dude that for somehow they were showing us he was playing a game.
Right, exactly. So it was super out of context that we were seeing the results of this gacha game. So I'm like, what is the actual significance of that? So then the rest of this episode is Odokawa on the bench with Shirakawa. And again, this is like one of those Monogatari series, like, sequences. It's just so much talking between two characters, and there's so much like information going between the two, because it's like, I like you, you don't know me, but I like you anyways, I'm interested. Well, I don't like anybody ever, and I'm never interested in anybody, so get away from me. And you don't want to get to know me anyways because I'm being threatened by the mob. Don't worry, I know dancing kung fu. So
what was it? Capoeira?
Capoeira, yeah. So Odokawa is telling Shirakawa, hey, you might want to stay away from me because the mob wants me.
Yeah.
And Shirakawa's like, don't worry about it, I know capoeira.
And they put like a little trance music on the back, and she's just doing capoeira.
It's dancing while doing kung fu. Like that's like
it's Brazilian. It's a Brazilian dancing martial art, but it's like revved Tai Chi almost.
Yes,
you know
exactly. Like it's not a real form of martial arts. It's not a real form of defense, which is exactly what Odokawa tells Shirakawa.
Yeah.
But she's like, what? I bet I could kick your ass, or I could defend you with all this.
Yeah.
And it's a sweet episode because, like, from Odokawa's perspective, he desperately maybe does want a girlfriend, or like wants even just a friendly relationship with anybody, because right now he has no friends besides Kakihana. And
right now, as a first time watcher, I'm still waiting for some context on his like mental health, but we don't get any of that.
Not until like the last like 5 minutes of episode 13.
Yeah. And but yeah, he's like, don't. And then he gets this weird vibe from her that he just leaves. And then later on, he asks Dobu, he's like, you made her do that, right?
Right. So, like, he was, like, falling for, like, this act and this gimmick and stuff like that. And as opposed to being, like, Kakihana, who's desperate to fall in love with anybody and marry anybody, Odokawa is smart enough to be like, no, this isn't right. There's no way that you're naturally just this interested in me.
Yeah, and... again, I get your frustration because either in every anime we either get that super like asexual being, or the guy that doesn't get the hint, or the guy that's always like balls deep for the girl.
Not even balls deep, just simping so hard that it's like creepy.
Yeah.
Which isn't natural. Like, where do I get that healthy relationship? Because it's anyways, whatever. So the ending of episode 3 is Goriki, Dr. Goriki, noticing that Shirakawa noticing that Dr. Goriki didn't go to work. And what's significant about that is from the end of episode 2, when Odokawa picked up Shirakawa from the hospital and drove her home, immediately as that scene's happening, it's being cut between another scene of Goriki talking to like his office assistant, being like, yo, there's a bunch of medication missing.
Oh, right.
And Goriki asking like, who was working? Oh, it was Shirakawa. So we already know that Shirakawa is the one stealing the medicine. So so we know something shady is happening, and Odokawa was smart enough to realize that maybe those things are related somewhat.
that's when after that he confronts Dabu and seeing if because of his vision of this animal people, he remembers seeing
like animal faces.
Yeah, animal faces and animal silhouettes and different colors and shit like that. He remembers that when he was driving, he saw the llama girl. What's her name? Shirakawa and Dabu talking in an alley.
Right.
So he confronts Dabu. He's like, "Hey, you made her do this, right?"
Well, immediately after that, what ends up happening, just a half episode 3, is the friend Kakihana, the monkey. He is messaging the 18-year-old he met on that app, and her name is Shiho. And he does meet her for a date, but the very last scene in episode 3 is these two bigger characters coming out in the background. It's like a dog, almost like a taller looking buff dog, and a polar bear with scars on his face.
Like a Labrador almost?
Yeah. Like a Labrador or something, and a giant polar bear, but they look scary.
Gangsters.
Yeah, like they're gonna
Russian
fuck him up.
gangsters. Yeah. They have like tracksuits and shit. They look pretty cool. Pretty cool design. But
exactly. So that's like the cliffhanger of episode 3 is just like, oh my god, is Kakihina gonna get his ass kicked? What the fuck's going on?
Or who the fuck is this girl and why is she so important? She's some gangsters that are looking over her.
But where it goes from here is the cool bit where we get whole episodes, which again reminds me of Durarada, which you'll see this upcoming week, is that there's whole episodes or half episodes that are about a whole different character. Like, no context given, it's just all of a sudden we're just following Tanaka, who's a black cat, who works at a game developer company. Like, no context, anything. It's just like, fuck everyone we just saw. We're just gonna go on this adventure with Tanaka for... His story is super, super sad.
Bro, it reminded me... It's so off the wall how they serve it to you, like the chicken episode on Beastars season 1. It was so weird.
Yes, it's exactly like that.
You know what I'm saying? They serve it to you like, okay, we're just following this dude that we saw a couple of times. It's the guy that almost gets run over, but his story, the episode is called Tanaka's Revolution,
right?
And we start following this cat almost.
Yes, he is a cat.
Yeah, he's a cat.
He is a cat.
This young cat in middle school or something like that, struggling to be in his clique, because he realizes that there's the athletic ones, there's the math guys, there's this guys,
like he says something to the effect that like, well, all the athletes and all the smartest kids in school get like all its praise from all the other students, and then student council, like we're always talking about student council in anime, they're always guaranteed to be popular, and his thing is he just has nothing. He has nowhere to be, and this is in relation to like, well, it's not related to another scene, but you can compare these two scenes because in like episode 2 with the monkey best friend Kakihana, when he's talking about the app with Odokawa asks him why he's doing this, and he's just like, oh, that's right, it's because you were popular in high school, right? Like you were in the baseball team. And he's like, yeah, like ever since high school I don't know how to interact with people anymore because I'm not all popular because I'm not in baseball anymore.
Correct. Yep. And doesn't he get into like there was some commotion between Arakawa and the friend. He was like, give me your phone, and he checked his profile and he sees that he's lying in his profile.
Yeah, he's saying he's making all this fucking money.
He has his own company, the company that he works for as a janitor. He's saying that that's his company or some shit like that.
Right.
And he's super rich. Anyways, we follow
back to
Tanaka, and he is infatuated. Well, not infatuated, but he decides to start collecting erasers.
Right. Because he sees this one nerd is getting like praise from people, and all of the friends, because he has like the rare erasers. Because the context is they had such a strict homeroom teacher that he wasn't letting them show their like individuality in any way. So it's like they were wearing uniforms, so they couldn't express it that way. They couldn't do anything to their hair,
no
their
cards,
shoes,
no anything,
no cards. Their shoes couldn't be special. But and again, like I remember hearing this when I was in middle school because it causes infighting between the groups. Right, you want everyone to be at the same level to teach.
Right,
but the only exception to this rule was stationery. So you could have fancy pens, fancy
fucking different erasers, and they look pretty cool. Like I was like, okay, that's smart to put in the story. So I was more involved in the story of what was going on, and that he's he finds out about an eraser that's only one of a kind.
He's like on eBay.
He's on eBay, and at first it's for like $300, so like 3,000 yen, right? And well, he doesn't.
No, it was at 3,000 yen, which is $30.
He doesn't have a credit card. He's a little kid, so he decides to go into his big brother's computer and his setup because he knew that he might have his dad's.
Well, he took the dad's credit card.
Oh, he did take it?
Because he found the wallet.
Oh, okay.
At home. He took the credit card number from the wallet.
Oh, when he sneaks into their bedroom.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So he starts bidding on the damn thing. But it keeps going up. Like, there's one other bid this whole time, and it keeps spiking and spiking. He's like this delusional child. Like, he doesn't want to lose.
He gets out of hand.
So he ends up betting like 100,000 yen, which is $1,000 for a fucking eraser.
I think it was like $10,000, no?
100,000, which is $1,000.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, which is a lot for one stupid eraser, especially for like a 12-year-old to be wasting. So he ends up winning the auction. The dad ends up being charged the 100,000 yen and beats the shit out of Tanaka.
But the thing is that he never gets it. He never gets his eraser. He wanted. He did a fake bid. So he would make the other guy waste more money, but he didn't take the bait. So he ended up paying for it. He waited for his eraser. His dad finds out, and he beats the living shit out of him and tell him why he's a fucking idiot and all this shit. So that's his like his morale breaking moment in his life, and he just kept a very because
he was waiting every day for the mail to come and waiting for that fucking eraser, and it never came. So not only was he not cool at school because he never got the eraser, his family fucking hates him. He's a fucking loser because he got the shit beat out of him by his dad. And the thing about that is he remembers like the name of the eBay account, right? Yeah. And then years later, when he's working for a video game company, he's given this whole dialogue about how he hates modern games because he's like, games need an immediate reward. They need to feel like the games from like the 80s and the 90s where it's like an arcade game and you get like a prize right away, which is why he likes gacha games. So that's why he gets into that same farm simulator that the comedian from episode 2 was introducing us to. He spends a bunch of time on it, and it's a gacha game, so it's like Fortnite. It's like you get a randomized chest and something cool in it.
We forgot to mention that the one rare eraser that he had was a dodo bear. A blue dodo shaped eraser. Right. Which then that's why the Zoo thing, the Logic Zoo app, that's why he was interested, because one of the rarest ones was Zuden? Oh, I guess on the sub it said like Logical Zoo or some shit like that. Yeah. On the bottom. But so he gets super fucking balls deep in this shit too. He's like, he starts spending, a dollar here and there, But he's spending all his free time to the point that, like, even at work he's suffering because he's just on his fucking phone, just on his gacha game. And, like, not to sound like a bad employee or anything, but something similar has happened. Not to this extent, obviously, because this guy, like, is not even showering before going to work. He's dressing like a bum. He's not paying attention to board meetings because he's on his phone. Yeah. And he's on this fucking gacha game. But I remember... So I play Yu-Gi-Oh! I've talked about that on the podcast before. But I originally got into playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Like 4 years ago when I was playing Duel Links. Like, it's an iOS app, you know what I mean? And it's like this hyper simplified version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you don't have all the same card pool, the same zones. It's just for casuals, right? And I remember I was just grinding on this shit at work because when I first got hired at Texas Tech University in El Paso, I didn't have a whole lot to do because it seemed more like they wanted to just fill my position so that they could turn into whatever they wanted, or else HR was going to close the search more than they actually cared about like what I actually did from day in and day out. So I had a bunch of free time and I'm just on this fucking app all the time. And I remember like not paying attention during meetings because I was thinking about like, wow, I'm just going to go back to my office and jump on this app right now. Because I have nothing to do with these projects that we're even discussing. Hell yeah, man.
But anyways, that's what Tanaka's doing right here. But that's significant because... So what you're talking about, the super rare eraser, one of the biggest prizes in the app is a dodo. And we finally get the scene of him walking down an alley. He's opening up his randomized gacha prizes, and out pops the dodo. But then it's a directed scene 2 episodes ago where Odokawa almost ran over a pedestrian with his phone in his hand, and he was playing Zuden, which was Tanaka the whole time.
Correct. And Tanaka, like you said, if you remember the username of the bidder, which was Ditch Itchy Itchy.
Yeah, Ditch 11.
Ditch 11.
Yeah.
And when he's getting invested in this game, he realizes that the number one in the world is Ditch 11.
Yeah.
So he gets even more.
The guy that scammed me 15 years ago and turned me into a cuck when my dad beat the shit out of me is now, like, making me lose at this fucking video game.
And now, like, I got something to live for. So he just goes balls deep into the game. He wastes all this money, and that's when we get to that scene. And when he drops his phone, not only does he crack it, it falls into one of, like, the water drains.
Yeah.
And it's just gloop. And he's like, what the fuck? But in his hands, like, he's walking and he gets the dodo. He's like, oh shit, all these fucking years. Oh fuck.
I'm finally gonna mean something because I got this one randomized prize that means nothing.
Exactly. And at that point, he drops his phone. He takes it to the shop and is like, yeah, all your data has been retrieved. He's like, give me that fucking shit, like, all rude. And he goes through the game and he doesn't have the dodo. Like, that shit did not save.
Yeah. That
shit was fucked, bro. This fool went crazy.
Yeah, and went absolutely insane. So, like, he's like, the cab driver, that fucking cab driver, Odokawa, just ruined my whole fucking life, so now I have to kill him. Mm-hmm. And that's what, like, every episode with Tanaka in it from here on out is about. It's just him trying to catch Odokawa in a dark alley and shoot him in the face.
And Odokawa doesn't even know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, Odokawa has no idea. Yeah. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, what did I do to you? What? Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So the next episode, Don't Call Me an Idol, that's when he meets the idols and the Calico Cat. Mm-hmm. He sees the Calico Cat. He's like, hey, I think I've seen you before. It's like, no, there's no way you have seen my client, because the little girl, the Calico Cat, the one that was in the janitor's phone app, she goes in with the agent, which is the Yamamoto.
But he's the guy that we saw at the end of episode 2 or 3, the dog-looking guy that was with the polar bear with scars on his face. Correct. That was tracking the date with Kakihana. Mm-hmm. So you're right. And Odokawa is, like, not a dumb guy, and he sees everybody in his taxi. He's just like, that's weird. It's a Calico Cat. Like, I could have sworn I saw a Calico Cat. And he's annoyed because Yamamoto's like, okay, let's pick up this girl and let's go to the studio and drop her off. Let's go on the other side of town and go back to the studio and drop her off. And then we're going to go on the other side of town and pick up this other girl and go drop her off. Mm-hmm. So that's, like, Odokawa's whole night. You know what I mean? So he's like, yo, you're going to pay out the ass for this at the end of the night. And Yamamoto's like, yeah, don't worry about this. This is Mystery Kiss, bro. They're about to pop off. Don't even worry about it.
They're about to pop off. That's funny. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Oh. But it's significant because Odokawa is Odokawa remembers that he had a cat in his cab a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And he's like, why am I thinking about that right now? Mm-hmm. And it's Yamamoto that's like, yo, I heard that one of these idol girls was in... Or he says he wants Odokawa's cab data.
Yeah, because one of the girls hasn't shown up or something like that.
Because Odokawa's recording everybody that comes into his cab so that he can help make police reports, like, if something happens. Mm. And Yamamoto, he tries lying at first. He's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna make a highlight reel based off of the data off the camera in your cab or something like that. And Odokawa's not stupid, number one. Number two, he tells him, he's just like, yo, like, I don't have it, somebody took it. Mm-hmm. Because it was the older Daimon brother that took it when he was at the hospital. So then...
Now we have another person looking for the card.
Now we have another person looking for his memory, but the thing about Yamamoto is Odokawa tells him, just like, yo, there was a black cat that looks exactly like one of the girls I just took, that I took back to that building maybe 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I think she's the one that's missing. And he's like, no, that doesn't sound right. Mm-hmm. Like, are you sure? You sure that's not the girl that you took earlier? The black cat with the black hair, and she was in the idol group too? And he's like, no, like, I almost guarantee it was a whole different person.
Yeah.
And that's what makes Yamamoto, like, nervous, because there's clearly... Like, Yamamoto knows what happened to the missing girl.
Yeah, but we don't know yet. We don't even know what the fuck's going on either.
We know just something suspicious is happening. Yeah. We don't know the concrete deals of it. And clearly, he's scared of Odokawa because he's like... he feels like you could snitch him out or something.
And that's why he asked for the memory card.
And I hate Kakihana, the simp monkey, every time he's on scene, because like the second half of episode 5 is about him. And like this rich ass fancy restaurant that's on like the skyline with this 18-year-old girl he met on this app.
That's on her phone the entire time.
The entire time, like not even remotely interested. And Kakihana is like, he's so nervous and shy and he's totally into the girl, but he took out a loan to pay for this dinner, and the whole time he's talking
from loan sharks, not like the bank.
Yeah. But he's also talking to this girl being like, oh yeah, I'm fancy and I'm super rich and I have a big bathtub, but like I don't actually come here that often. But the waiter's like kind of shitting on him at the same time because Kakihana's like super awkward and weird when it comes to these fancy settings.
Yeah, he's having like common men gestures, like what Japanese thinks is like common men's gestures at a restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like at a bar, you would be like, hey, give me another drink or something like that and raise your glass or something. And the restaurant is like, hey, you don't have to put up your glass. Like, you don't have to lift your glass. I'll serve you a drink. And when he stands up to go get the bill, like, it's like, no, the bill comes to you, idiot. Like, he just keeps shitting on him like, you don't belong here kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and at the same time, he feels weird because he doesn't want the cat, like his date, to notice it at that same instance. Because when he gets the bill, he's like, holy fuck, this is so much money. And she's like, why? Is something wrong? What's going on? And he's just like, no, don't worry about it. But he drops like his banknote or like the note he got from the loan sharks that says like 100,000 yen or 1,000,000 yen, whatever the fuck. And it's taken out in his name. So we know he's taking out like shady loans just to impress his girl.
Correct.
Who still doesn't give a shit about him.
Correct. And he pulls out cash. He's like, oh, you're not going to pay with a card? He's like, oh, I don't deal with banks and stuff.
And he has cash because he took it from a loan shark, though. Yeah. So, and that's like the end of episode 5. So we know something's about to happen with Kakihana. And what's scary about that is in episode 6, let me hear you say, what the hell? We're back with Imai. And the thing about Imai is we learned that he won 1 billion yen on the lottery off of the numbers that he got from Odokawa.
The Calico Cat says that at the restaurant day. He's like, oh, look, this guy just won like a shitload of money. And he shows him the phone. Because she's kind of talking to him, but not really. Like, she's just showing him
She's just on Twitter
phone.
And showing him cool shit.
Yeah, exactly. And she shows him that this fucking character that we met like 4 episodes ago or 3 episodes ago, he won the lottery because of that conversation he had with Horikawa.
Right, and that's how episode 6 starts. It's Imai in the cab with Odokawa, and he's just like, yo, bro, you gave me those good numbers, I'm fucking rich now, we're loaded, don't even worry about it, like, let me treat you. And again, Odokawa, he's a shy, like, nerd.
Introvert, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do anything, but Imai's like, yo, I work at this badass club, come through, I'm gonna get you bottle service, don't even worry about it.
All the honeys.
Yeah. And it reminded me of,
I'm glad they added in that scene where he finally gives in and he goes to the club because he tells him, he's like, I gotta work, dude, I gotta drive. He's like, nah, dude, fuck that. and then he puts him in a big booth, girls to his left, girls to his right, and then, yeah, man, you can order bottles, whatever, what's it gonna be? He's like, I don't drink. And the girls are like, he's like, well, can we drink? And they just all look at him. They're like, yeah, I guess so, do your thing. They're like, yeah.
It reminded me of Hinamatsuri.
Don't bury on. Yeah.
Because, like, Hinamatsuri is also about the mob, but, like, he would show up... Is that, like, a thing in like, Japanese bars or anything with bottle service, that there's just girls just waiting to just jump into your booth and drink your liquor? Or is that making fun of, like, how things are here, too?
I don't know, man.
Because there's also a scene like that in Soul Eater. Because I don't know if you remember the dad from Soul Eater, the one that's always cheating on the mom of the main character. He's also just bumming around like on couches, getting bottle service and just chatting up random girls too.
I don't know. What was Boobies all about? You know what I'm saying?
Well, Boobies was different because Boobies was Hooters because they were actually there to eat and they had a server.
I don't know.
This one's like,
but I guess that's everywhere.
It's just girls leeching off of your bottle service.
Yeah.
And that's what's funny about right here, because it's like, again, I'm trying to describe that this anime is about adults. Like, for once, we're not talking about fucking 16-year-olds. And this adult scenario of something that's supposed to be fun, like a club, or like he's supposed to want to have these random women hanging out with him and drinking his liquor, ends up being super annoying for him. Because you're right, they're like, oh yeah, Don P, we're gonna drink all this champagne. He's just awkward. He doesn't even want to be there. He just leaves at a certain point. Yeah. He goes to the restroom and Imai sees him. He's like, yo, what's up? And he's just like, no, honestly, I think I'm gonna leave. I feel really awkward. And from Imai's standpoint, like, this is where he works, and like he's almost like jealous of the people that like he's serving, that they have all this money to spend on bottle service. So he's like, what do you mean? Why would you leave right now? Yeah. But what we see is that Tanaka's gone full batshit fucking crazy at this point, and he puts on this skull mask, and he's spiraling. Like, he's tunneling that he needs to kill Odokawa for damaging his phone by almost hitting him that day, and now he's gonna be a fucking loser and never redeem himself from when he lost his dad's 100,000 yen from losing on that eraser, to the point that like he just has to shoot Odokawa, and it's the only way he's gonna be safe.
He had like almost a moment of clarity when he lost his dodo and he was going back to his apartment. But what we didn't mention is that in his childhood bit, he never really had like a hobby like we were talking about. So he wanted his mom to buy him a bird, and the mom, because the brother was into computers, she's like, oh, this is not going to cost as much as buying a fucking whole computer for my other son. So he has a bird. Later on in the time skip, when he's a grown-up and he also has a bird. So not only did he lost his bird, his digital bird, he goes back to his apartment and he fucking lost his other bird. In one of the episodes prior to that, we saw that Dabu buried the gun that he pulled on Odokawa. And he's putting it at a park. In the middle
which
of,
is like, imagine you buried
everywhere.
a park at buried a gun at a public park.
Yeah, and next to a tree, and then where Katana, is it? No, not Katana.
The
cat?
Tanaka.
Tanaka goes to bury his bird at the same spot and finds the gun. And that's when he's like, I'm gonna fucking shoot this.
I'm gonna kill that cab driver. He made me lose my bird and then I lost my other bird.
Bro, fuck, that's crazy.
So you're right. So he finds that gun, he puts on a skull mask, and he's stalking Odokawa. And he goes to the club where Odokawa's at, and he shoots up the place. Like, he
doesn't leave. He goes to the restroom.
Yeah, Odokawa's gonna leave, but he goes to the restroom first. But then Tanaka, with his skull mask on, like, is shooting in like the roof in the middle because he's looking for Odokawa. And what I thought was significant about this is that, like, the Dabu's gun is like a 6-shooter fucking revolver. You know what I mean? Which is like nothing by American standards. Like, people get shot up with AKs out here. So, but that comparison is what I was thinking so much on, because it's like a gun in Japan is a big deal.
It's a big fucking deal because everybody will flash with a knife.
We live in Texas. Like, it's legal to like have a non-licensed hidden firearm in Texas now. The significance of seeing one shitty revolver in Japan is like,
holy shit. Everybody loses their shit.
There's people that show up to Walmarts in the US with AR-15s or AKs on their back.
Schools, movie theaters, churches.
But like, not even to shoot it up, just to like flex their Second Amendment.
I get
what I'm saying? Like, so seeing one guy out here to cause harm with a revolver causes this whole club to lose their shit. But in the US, I'm supposed to act fucking casual in public while somebody has an AK on their back.
Like at Walmart, people will be like, oh, nice gun, bro. Let me see your gun. Oh, what's up? Yeah.
That's wild. That's so wild. But that's why it's a big deal. It's it's super scary because so Odokawa sneaks out of the restroom, gets out of there, but when he gets back to his cab, the back window is broken into. Correct. Like, somebody broke into the back seat of his car. Yeah. And he doesn't think anything about it, and he just goes home because he's in shock. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I got in a rollover car crash, like 20 minutes outside of El Paso, I just went home and went to sleep. Like, that's your only focus, is to just like reset the day at a certain point. You know what I mean? And that's like how Odokawa was.
Yeah, he gets back in his car and he drives away. But nothing said about the window until next episode, right?
Until next episode. But, like, we do get one other scene at the end of episode 6, which is one of the ass, the donkey, Baba. Mm-hmm. He's taking all these new jobs now, and he's the more successful one of his...
Because the other one split.
...comedy troupe. But yeah, he's backstage about to record something for TV, but Rui, the little white-haired poodle that's in Mystery Kiss, like sneaks in and like is having a discussion with him. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like this. It's so like
novella.
Yes, yeah. It's so like, oh, I'm gonna sneak in here and hit up my secret boyfriend, but I can't have a public boyfriend because I'm in an idol group and
that turns fans off.
Yeah, it's gonna turn fans off, and so I have to have a secret relationship with this weird ass comedian, and even the manager of Mystery Kiss or whatever the fuck they're called.
Yes, the dog.
Yeah, he walks in at a certain point. He's like, "Oh, I knew you'd be here in Baba's room," and he's just like, "Don't forget that you're on in 10 minutes. Just be ready." And he tells Baba like, "Yo, she's about to pop off, and I need you to stay out of her life because you're going to be the one that's going to hold her back."
But not that understanding. He was like, "Yo, dog, like, stop
back
it.
Up.
Yeah, back up. Yeah.
That's my money. That's her success. Like, stop."
Yeah. And, it starts getting very novella, bro. It starts like, oh, okay.
And I like that. Like, I hate that I like that because it's so, like, Gossip Girl or almost. It's so, like, cheesy, like, drama about it. Like that that CW kind of drama.
Mm-hmm. And, I think we follow, our main character, Hokatana? No. Odakawa. And he's having a conversation with Babu about somebody trying to kill him, and he says that they didn't steal anything from the cab, so he finds that already suspicious, right?
Right. Well, Odakawa in the next episode, after he goes to sleep, he noticed that there's a gunshot through his bedroom also.
Oh yeah,
which ends up being a big deal. So he goes to the police station, and the only person there is the younger Daimon brother, and the younger, he ends up being like my favorite character, kind of like the younger Daimon brother, because he's eating like cup ramen or some bullshit lunch. He's just like, "Hey, can you get out of here? It's my lunch break. Can you please just leave me alone?" And Odokawa's like, "Dude, like somebody shot into my apartment. Can you please do something?" He's like, "Get the fuck out of here, you bitch ass walrus. I don't want to talk to you.
Damn taxi drivers.
Yeah, you stupid taxi driver. We hate your kind out here."
And I mean, also, it reminded me of Taxi Driver, like the movie Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro, because it's almost so like psyche like that. It goes very much into the psyche of the driver a lot. So that's what it also reminded me about. Yeah, he goes to him and he convinced him to listen to him, right? He just doesn't kick him out, but they go to check out the room.
Right.
And in that moment, our main character, what's his name? Odakawa. I'm thinking about the girl's name. Odakawa. He tells him about his brother.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yo, it's like, your brother's a dirty cop." Like, "My brother's not a dirty cop.
I would never believe that."
It's like, "You stupid taxi driver."
I don't trust your kind, but so he's about to inspect like the rest of the room and see where the gunshot came from and all that, but he gets a call on the walkie-talkie at that same instance where it's like,
that's right.
"Yo, we found a dead body. All units that are close, just go investigate." And that's like the Daimon brothers' excuse to be like, "Nah, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go." And Odokawa was like, "Fuck, I was so close. I was about to catch up the older Daimon brother, and I was about to catch Dabu," because Dabu's threatening Odokawa.
Threatening the girl as well.
Yeah, threatening Shirakawa.
There you go.
That's what I mean. Their names are so similar. Like, I get why you're forgetting it, because they have like the exact same name. But Goki, the Dr. Goki, he's having a conversation with Shirakawa at that same time. And he's kind of explaining that he has to fire her because he knows she's stealing medication. But how he's like, he doesn't want to get caught up and have his license revoked because he's responsible and he's supposed to have like know where all the medication's at. So he's just like, "I'm just going to close up my business. I'm just going to close up
and
shop."
Move, and he was going to move or something.
Yeah, and I'm going to move somewhere else so that like none of us get caught, none of us get in trouble. And she feels guilty. Shirakawa feels guilty, and that's where we get into this whole backstory about Shirakawa. Also, that briefly in like episode 2 when she was sitting on the bench with Odokawa, she was explaining probably the biggest regret she ever made in her life was not letting her parents pay for her nursing school. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I thought I could do it on my own and I could be independent, so I took out a private loan
from a loan shark.
And she doesn't say that then. She doesn't say that then. And she's like, so I could pay my way through school. But she took out that private loan from Dabu. So her paying back Dabu is why she's stealing medication from Goroki or whatever the fuck his name is.
And Odokawa makes a connection because he knows that Dabu only collects money for the boss. Mm-hmm. Through jobs that he himself like does, right? So that's when like that shit really hits his fucking head fan, because he's like, oh, he's definitely in cahoots with Dabu.
Right.
She's definitely in cahoots with Dabu. So he confronts Dabu because Dabu wanted to rob a bank of a certain person.
Hold on. You're getting so far ahead. Hold on. Yeah, because you're right. There's so many back to back character like motivation scenes happening starting in like episode 7. Because so we're getting that scene between Shirakawa and Goki, but then we're also getting this other scene of Kakihana, and we're watching him talk to mob bosses and loan sharks, and he's hiding out from these people because we see him buying an engagement ring for this fucking 18-year-old girl he met on this app. Mm-hmm. Fucking cuck shit, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
So you're right. So you remember. So, like, it starts getting kind of messy right here, but it's meant to be messy. And it plays out really well because you never are fully comfortable in what storyline you're hearing about right now. Mm-hmm. So you're hearing about the loan shark. You're watching Kakihana run away. But in that same instance, we're watching... the
monkey fucking...
Right. We're watching... Shirakawa confessed to Goroki about her work with Dabu, and at that same time, Goroki asks for help from Shirakawa to save Odokawa because they're talking about Dabu, and Dabu's trying to fuck up Odokawa. And in that same instance, it's Halloween night, and we're having this inner dialogue from Odokawa where he's like, fuck, nothing good happens on Halloween. And I don't want something to happen to my car or for something to get fucked up.
People are crazy on Halloween, he says.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's like... I remember even when I lived in Germany as a kid, like the night before Halloween, you needed to hide out everything in the front because that's when like all the pranks happened, and like the little town we lived in would get like fucked up every Halloween.
Really? Like fucked up?
Like fucked up. Like broken windows. You couldn't, like, anything that was just out in the open and could be broken was broken.
I remember like the crazy shit we ever did. It wasn't quad is just throw eggs if you don't get candy. Yeah, but like it's that same kind of logic that has Odokawa going, because he's walking down the street. He's not even in his cab, and he's walking in this Shibuya-esque district. And we meet a fucking my least favorite character of the whole fucking thing.
A porcupine on a scooter.
The boss, pretty much the boss of like this fake. It's also the Yakuza. It's because it's weird because Yakuza means mob,
right?
So not all the mobs are like involved with each other, because we know that the porcupine is no way involved with the old elephant walrus.
Yeah, they are. That's his boss.
They are?
That's his boss.
Okay.
Which like, that's spoilers. Huh? But that's spoilers. But
not really.
It is.
Yeah?
It kind of is, because that's not revealed until the last episode.
Okay.
But what we know is that, so we meet this porcupine on a scooter. Odokawa always gets run over on the sidewalk by some asshole in a scooter. And it's this dumbass porcupine in a suit and black latex gloves on, rapping while speaking. And he's like, yo, old man, get the fuck out of my way, old man. Why the fuck are you in my way on the sidewalk, bro? Just bad fucking raps. Just like the worst pieces of like recorded dialogue in this whole thing.
I wish I could understand it like in Japanese. Maybe it's better.
It's because it feels like really superficial rhymes.
Yeah.
As opposed to feeling like rapping.
It's just rhyming.
Yes, it feels like spoken word poetry almost.
It's like Dr. Seuss.
But every time Yano's on screen, there's like a rap beat. So like he's supposed to be going over the beat. But in all of these instances, he's not over the beat. Like it's so offbeat. It hurts my soul.
It hurts.
But it's funny. He's just an asshole, and you're right. Like, so Yano and Dobu both work for the same boss. But because they both have their own gimmicks, their own hustles, they kind of try to stay out of each other's business because they're going to be shooting each other over it.
Correct.
But they're both funneling their money to the same fucking boss.
Correct. You're right. And then we saw that when
Dobu's on the street too.
Dobu's in the street, yeah, because they're about to go to the cab, back to the cab or something like that.
Well, Dabu realizes that because there's news reports coming out of the skull dude in the mask with the gun, and Dabu realizes it's his fucking gun that he buried in the park.
That's right.
So Odokawa is going to help Dabu find his gun because Odokawa is starting to notice that everywhere he goes is this asshole in the skull mask and the gun trying to shoot him in the face.
And we even haven't mentioned the hippo is back.
Yeah, the hippo's back. And the thing about the hippo is because he's the kind of person that desperately wants to go viral, he's convinced that he's going to catch the famous mobster Dabu and turn him in, and he's going to be like a hero.
But at this point, like, because of the post...
Kabasawa.
The hippo?
Yeah, Kabasawa.
Kabasawa, he did go viral, so now he has a little bit of clout that he's being all like street justice kind of thing. And this Dabu, his sex trafficker, drug dealer, racketeering, and all this bullshit. He's just trying to hype himself up, but he's saying it like, if you're there, like, meet me here. You know, like a MAGA fucking reunion, bro.
And he's like charging people to like coach them on how to be badasses and catch people like Dabu.
Please subscribe to BT Nerds. We'll teach you how to be badasses.
But so you're right. In the same instance, it's Odokawa and Dobu on the street, and they're seeing all these people in skull masks because it's Halloween night and it's cosplay, and especially a few nights after like that club got shot up, it's like popular to be in this mask, so they end up jumping some random guy to skull mask in an alley. But in that same instance, Kabasawa is on his phone like live streaming them like on fucking Instagram Live at that same instance, being like, look, it's Dabu, he's beating up some random kid in a skull mask, what an asshole. Yeah,
because he was masked, and now the Dabu is mad because the attention's on him.
Right.
Because that cat was obviously wearing the mask.
Right.
So now not only are they looking for the gun, they're kind of trying to stay like low key.
Right.
At this point, they think they find the skull mask dude at this like Halloween festival, like in.
It wasn't even a festival. They were just on the street in Shibuya.
It looked like Vegas.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a bunch of people walking down the street.
Yeah, and they just followed this dude into an alley and they beat the shit out of him. But that's not him.
Well, Dabu does. Yeah, because like Odokawa feels awkward. He's like, you see him almost tell Dabu like, yo, let's not almost kill him.
Yeah.
But Dabu's just such an asshole. He's just such a gangster. He's just beating the shit out of this guy.
I'm just cosplaying. He's like, I fucking hate cosplayers. And he starts beating them some more.
And again, between the cutting, in the same instance this is happening, we're getting cut back to Kakihana, and he's buying an engagement ring for this fucking 18-year-old girl. And at the same instance, he's having to run away from like the loan sharks that are trying to catch him.
Oh yeah, because he as he's opening this fucking fake ass ring that he bought for a lot of money. Not fake, but it was a cheap ring in the context of like mobster money. And he's all inspired and look at this ring, and somebody knocks. The loan sharks knock at the door, and he's like, "Oh shit!" It's like, I'm not gonna answer the door. I'm gonna wait for them to leave.
But they're yelling at that same time. They're like, "Yo, Kakihana, we know you're fucking in there. You need to start paying back what you owe."
Yeah, and then at the same time, he's texting the girl, the Calico Cat Ishimura, he's like, oh, let's meet here and blah blah blah, and they end up meeting, but then he gets cucked because the gangsters are there. We're like, ooh, this bitch was all in on it.
Yeah, but even he's such a bitch at that same moment. He's just like, you don't gotta do what they say. Like, I know they're torturing you, and she's like, this is a Badger scheme, bro. This is what I was doing this whole time. Like, I was meant to make you take out money from these guys.
They beat the shit out of him first, and he's trying to be like, oh, get out of here, don't hurt her, hurt me. And then that's where she's like, no, bro, it's like, we just want to squeeze you.
Yeah.
And they fucking squeezed him.
Because he's so much older than her, too. She's like, dude, you're weird and creepy and old. Like, I had nothing to do with you this whole time.
Might as well be a janitor. And he is a janitor.
He is a janitor. But what we end up finding out is that those guys work for Yano. The rapping porcupine that we just met this episode. So this is like what you were talking about. Like, he's the mob. Like, Dabu's a gangster guy, but he's always by himself. Yano's out here, like, pushing people and running schemes and shit.
Yeah, and he's I can't even remember what he said, or even if he said anything important, because he's just talking, like,
in raps
or in rhymes. But yeah, he's like, fuck, we need to go, because he also notices the guy that won the lottery, but because of the news, they know that he hasn't cashed it in, and we know that from the club scene, because Imai told him that he hasn't cashed in his ticket because he's waiting for the release of the album.
Right.
And so now he's making another scheme to steal that money.
Right.
Besides Dabu's scheme.
Right.
But I mean, Edgy, right?
Imai, Yano, Kakihana.
Yeah, Kakihana.
The monkey?
Yeah, the monkey.
Kakihana.
Yeah, he's not answering
his phone. So Odokawa's trying to call him.
Correct.
And he's just like, yo, where's my boy? Where's he at? And he knows he knows his best friend's like a bitch. He's like, I gotta protect him. Like, where the fuck is he? But the beginning of episode 8 is like the only rapping I actually like from Yano, because it's called episode 8, Bless You. And this is the only point that the beat is like an actual trap beat for Yano, and it reminds me of like fucking 2011 Chief Keef or some shit. And this is the only time it actually sounds like he's rapping on beat also.
You're like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah. But like, it's not like that, but it at least sounds pleasant and not super like scattered and awkward like it does a lot of other instances, because this is where he's actually describing the Badger scheme too. He's like, hey, yo, bro, that girl never actually liked you. You're a cuck. She was just trying to rob you this whole time. You're a cuck.
Just emphasizing on the cuckiness.
So, Odokawa tells Dabu, Dabu's whole plan is he's gonna rob a bank, and he's gonna try to get Imai's money. Everyone's out here to get Imai's money right now because he was an idiot and put that he won 1 billion fucking yen all over the internet, and now everyone's trying to come up on him.
Yeah.
And dumbass, fucking idiot. Don't put that on the internet.
Yeah. Don't tell your family about it.
But so Odokawa makes a deal with Dabu. He's like, yeah, if you get Shirakawa out of her debt with you, and you help me try to break out my friend from your gang rival, then I'll do whatever you want when it comes to you trying to rob a bank or trying to rob Imai or whatever. So Dabu and Odokawa go to Yano's base of operations, which is basically the docks. Like, it's so fucking, it's mobster shit, you know what I mean? Like, Yano's base of operations is the docks, and his main source of muscle is this giant polar bear with a tracksuit on with scars on his face. You might as well call him Russian or something. Like,
yeah, definitely. And
they break in, or they try to, but they open the door where they know Kakihana's gonna be. And out comes the polar bear guy, and he starts fighting Dabu. And he has like a taser or something, like a taser stick. Yeah, like one of those the taser baton things.
Yeah, the fucking Black Widow shit.
Yes, exactly. And Dabu's just like, yo, go in there, Odokawa, go get your boy. And they do. He grabs Kakihana. And this is why I hate the scenes with Kakihana, because he's so sad. Like, he's just bleeding. He's crying. He's like, yo, I thought she liked me. I really thought she liked me. And it's Odokawa being like, dude, you bought her a ring when you barely met her.
And you lied to her. You put yourself in this position. I didn't really feel that bad for him. I didn't feel bad for him because in the bigger picture that people fall like this all the time. But, yeah, you know, people that go to the bars and tip, you know. everything, every fucking dollar they have to bartenders.
No, I get that. Just to try to impress people. Mm-hmm. Because they get away. And Dabu ends up beating the shit out of the polar bear. But when Dabu's trying to, like, run away from the dock, he gets shot in the leg. And he thinks it's Skull Mask because he's like, oh, fuck, Skull Mask here? Like, he followed us all the way out here. He's really trying to get Otokawa's ass. Yeah. And in that same instant, the fucking Hippo Boy Kabasawa's there. He's recording Dobu getting shot and kind of bleeding out of his leg.
I think he was recording the beating that they were giving the cosplayer.
He did both.
Oh, he did both. That's right.
Both.
You're right.
He did both because he's
always there.
Because he's at the dock too, and he followed them out there. But a little bit before this, in the same episode, we're getting this scene from Kabasawa where he's bucking like his random fans from YouTube, and it's this girl all naked in the bed with him, being like, "Yo, you should maybe probably do something about Dabu because everyone thinks you're a bitch and that you're just like lying for clout on the internet and you're fucking your female fans." And she's like, "Oh, I guess that last one is actually true, huh?" And he's just all mad. He's just like, "I am not a bitch."
Yeah, dude, it's so crazy because I mean, you're watching anime, but it's like such adulty situation.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird to see that. I was like, oh shit, like this is like, fuck you, bitch. It's like,
get out of my bedroom. I don't need a life for pussy.
I'm a gangster. and he makes another video all pissed because of his lady telling him shit. He's like, oh, you guys think of pussy and blah blah. I'm gonna he like almost challenges Dabu to like meet and like beat his ass and some shit, right?
Mm-hmm. But at that same instance, when we're back at the dock, he tries making a video being like, look, I shot the famous Dabu, like I'm such a badass, everyone please worship me. And Dabu just beats the shit out of him because Dabu is like an actual badass, even though he just got shot in the leg.
Yeah, he pulls out his phone and he gets distracted and Dabu gets up and like chokes him out. And that's where the panda comes in with the stick and they start fighting, and that's when he busts. No, he makes him. No, that was a little before. He makes him do an apology video.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the dock, like he's grabbing Hippo Boy and he makes him do an apology video. And he's like, "Bro, you're ruining my life. Like you going viral on the internet on my name is making it harder for me to do business during the day." So he does a video explaining like, yo, I'm gonna stop chasing after Dabu. I'm sorry to everybody. I was kind of lying. I'm kind of a huge cuck, but I'm not returning anybody's money from the classes.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what you expected. He's just some random scummy person on the internet. And him, like the comedians, I feel like without Kabasawa, the storyline would almost essentially be the same. Because Kabasawa added nothing to like the main narrative, because we're talking about like this structure and this interaction between characters. Without Kabasawa, like it's almost the same storyline too.
Like it would have been easier for them to do things without the hippo. Yeah. But then again, they have to make it, at least somewhat 12 episodes long.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Otokawa, after saving Kakihana, is now realizing how Yano and Dobu are also tied with Imai. And this is where, like, Otokawa's just big brother mode, you know what I mean? Like, he saved his boy Kabihana, so now he's got to hit up Idai and be like, yo, they're gonna try to kidnap you, they're gonna try to steal your money from the bank, this is how I'm gonna try to protect you. And he tries making a deal with the manager of Mystery Kiss, Yamamoto, too, and because around like episode 9 or something like that, Otokawa picks up Yamamoto from the studio, and Yamamoto almost like kills Otokawa because Yamamoto realizes that Otokawa remembers the missing girl from Mystery Kiss, that black cat.
Correct. He tries to strangle him, right?
Right. So he pulls out his belt and he's trying to choke him on the scene, which again feels like some Tarantino-esque shit. And he does that while making him pull into like a construction site. But Odokawa was texting Shirakawa at that same time and telling him where he was going because he knew not to trust Yamamoto. So she chucks a rock into like his rear windshield, scaring Yamamoto. And she makes Yamamoto come out of the car, and he's just like, "Oh, it's a girl. I'm gonna beat the shit out of her because he's a big ass dog, right?"
Yeah.
And she does her capoeira shit.
The song cues in, and she's just like dancing a little bit, and like kicks the shit out of him.
Kicks the shit out of him, and just like even when he's on the ground, she starts like kicking him some more. So he's all fucked up on the side of the car. He's like, "I'm sorry, Odokawa. I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah.
I was being pressured by Yamato, and I'm just trying to protect Mystery Kiss." And
yeah, because I think we're gonna have to pull the album, and he was like just dumping his purse
because I don't even know if we explained this properly, or maybe we did, but maybe I don't remember. But I'll go over it again. The 18-year-old cat that Kakihana met on the dating app is one of the members of Mystery Kiss, who is being forced to run the Badger game by her manager Yamamoto because Yamamoto owes a favor to Yano. So Yano is basically using Mystery Kiss as a front for some money.
And not as a front, because even though Mr. Kiss, we know that the two girls in the back, which is the calico cat and the black hair cat, the black cat, they're made to wear masks.
Right.
And she's not liking that. She's like, I need to be at my own star and shit like that. So we are also following this Calico Cat, even though we know she's a bitch, because she's running this fucking Badger thing. And almost willingly.
Because there was a piece of dialogue at the restaurant that she was telling Kakihana. She's like, "Oh, well, if I was rich, what I would really want is just a really big fancy bath because I grew up poor." So that's the whole reason she's a part of Mystery Kiss, and she's helping run these Badger games because she doesn't want to be poor anymore. She doesn't want to go back to that life.
There's like a flashback where they call her Stinky, like in the classroom.
It's literally translated to like Stinky.
Yeah, it's like,
in the song.
That's why she's so stinky. I'm like, oh, that stinky kid. Simon's not gonna be the stinky kid.
That's so fucked up. So you're right. So so Odokawa is trying to take Kakihana back home. But he takes Kakihana to what's his name, to the Gorilla Boys, to Goriki's hospital, because he's like, "Yo, keep this on down low. I don't want everyone to know why he's fucked up." And that's where he calls Imai, and he tells Imai like, "Yo, all these gang members want your ass because you're a dumbass and posted your shit on the internet." And in that same instance, we're getting cuts with Goriki talking with like Odokawa's caretaker, his landlord, because Odokawa for the past like 20 years has stayed at, like 30 years has stayed at the same apartment complex. And that's because like when he was orphaned and his parents died, some like rich benefactor would always pay for his rent.
Correct.
So Goriki's like trying to learn more about Odokawa's condition through his history. So the next like 3-4 episodes we're gonna get just Goriki just doing straight detective work on Odokawa. And he's not even interacting with any of the main characters at all. He's just going to other doctors, going to other caretakers, and trying to figure out exactly what did happen to Odokawa.
And he goes back to the orphanage, or no, the hospital, right?
Right.
And he's having a conversation with his doctor. He's like, "Yeah, I think he kept like a journal or something." But why are you asking? This happened so long ago. It's like, "Oh, it's because he's my friend." And we have like that super dramatic, dramatic part, but it's nice because like somebody really cares for our main character, where he thinks nobody cares for him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So even though he calls Imai his friend, and you know, and all the different Takihana his friend, even though he calls them his friends, he just met them through a cab ride or something like that,
right?
You know, so it's nice to see that deeper connection to that character,
right? I agree, doctor. Because we get like a whole episode about Baba. And like how he's tied to the Homo sapiens, and how they're in like a stand-up competition, but they keep bombing out, and they bomb out of like the upper rankings, and then they're like, "We're gonna qualify through the lower ranking tournament," and they end up not even doing that.
Yeah, because they're already fed up with each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, again, it's like... They didn't need to be there. Like, I love Odd Taxi, don't get me wrong. Like, the whole, like, villainy, the betraying of the betrayal of the mobsters that are betraying each other.
The double crosses.
Yeah, it's such a cool narrative. But, like, the thing about episode 10... We Have No Tomorrows. It's literally just about these comedians, and they do not matter. The only interesting part is that Baba is tied to Rui, and she's in Mystery Kiss. And
Baba, the hog, right? Baba's the hog.
No, Baba's the ass.
Oh, the horse. What's the other one?
I don't know.
The hog is connected to the black cat that is trying to kill Arakawa. Shibagaki. And yeah, but like we have just small instances of all these stories kind of connecting now, because at this point now they're kind of already planning out the scheme with Babu, right? He tells Arakawa tells Babu that
Dobu
that he's gonna do the scheme with him.
Right, so Dobu's like, I'm gonna rob a bank. And Odokawa's like, in this day and age, you're gonna rob a bank? And Dobu's like, okay, listen. So this is where he brings the Imai part back into it. He's just like, this dumbass won the lottery and he's gonna take it out all in cash. I have some connects at the bank, and they're gonna, they're being threatened by Yano. Because Yano's gonna make Imai pull out the cash all at once, but the plan is that they're going to take out 10 suitcases. One of the suitcases is going to have 100,000 yen in it. The other 10 are going to be completely empty. Mm-hmm. They're going to give one suitcase for them to check and 9 empty suitcases full of newspaper to Yano and his accomplice. And then immediately after they leave, Dabu's going to pull up and they're going to give him that real money. And then Dabu is gonna have the older Daimon brother arrest Yano to get that last 100,000 yen.
Mm-hmm. And let Imai go.
And Odokawa is a part of this because he's the getaway, right? Mm-hmm. Because after Dobu parks the van with the 900,000 yen in it,
they gotta just switch.
They gotta do the switch, and then they're gonna use Odokawa to go get the last 100,000 yen, and then they're gonna take it back and grab the van, and then that's the whole scheme.
Correct. And but also we have to remember that the other cop, the younger brother, he's in the mix.
The younger Daimon.
Yeah, the younger Daimon, because he pulls up on his brother, and he's like, "What are you doing, brother?" Like, because they beat that shit out of him. Yoda and his henchmen, Yano, to go back to where Arakawa and Dabu were.
Right. So we're describing this. Originally I was describing the scheme, but it's the exact same way as it actually portrays, like in episode 11, episode 12. So you're right. So they do that scheme. It works exactly like that, and so Yano pulls over, or the older Daimon pulls over Yano and his associate, and he lets Iida, or whatever, what was his name? Ida? The guy that actually won the money. Imai, thank you. He lets Imai go, and he's like, yo, get out of here before you end up getting hurt. And you're right, so Yano and his associate steal Daimon's police car, and they're chasing after Odokawa, because they recognize his car when they pull up to the parking lot where Dobu's doing the switch. So the cool ending climax is that there's Yano and his associate chasing after Odokawa in a cop car, and then other cop cars start chasing them.
A little bit before we get there, we didn't even mention how they got the GPS tracking system.
Right.
So Odokawa, in his taxi, when they broke the window and he noticed nothing was missing, he had to figure it out that something was either put in there. Right. So he realizes that a GPS was put in there by the black cat that was trying to kill him, right?
Right. So Tanaka would just, whenever Odokawa was just running rides, he just knew where he was at. Mm-hmm. So it was after the instances where Shirakawa beat the shit out of Yamamoto like in the construction yard, that Odokawa had like the brain blast where he was like, oh fuck, there has to be a GPS in my car, I'm so stupid.
Somewhere. So that GPS, when they get back to the rendezvous parking lot spot
with Dabu,
he puts that GPS in the van, in the money van.
Dabu's van.
Yeah. So at that rendezvous spot, we get the black cat talking. Tanaka, and he's still berserk, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking shoot you." And Dabu is like, why are you gonna shoot me? Give me back my gun.
Right.
He's like, no, not you. Get the fuck out of the way. I want to shoot taxi driver. Fucking Arakawa was like, yo, what? It's like, I'm sorry. What the fuck did I do? It's like, no, you fucked up. You almost ran me over. You made my fucking life pointless or whatever.
You made me lose the dodo bird.
And then out of fucking nowhere, like, Arakawa is saying sorry and he bows, and the fucking eraser falls out of his pocket.
Right, the monkey eraser, which was the one that he lost 100,000 yen on, and his dad beat the shit out of him for it. Because this is after they get that last 100,000 back from Yano, and they're back at the rendezvous spot with the van. And you're right, and they're already waiting there because Odokawa put the GPS inside of Dobu's van. So the Tanaka's like pestering the shit out of Dabu and Odokawa. And he's like, which of you is the number one...
Ditch 1-1.
Yeah, which of you is Ditch 1-1? And that's where Dabu's like, what? That might be me. He starts lying, and I don't really get why this happens, because clearly Dabu is Ditch 11.
Correct.
And he's like, what? I don't really play that zoo game like that. I don't know who's the number one ranked person. But he starts like recollecting, because he's okay talking to Tanaka because he's convinced that 6 shots have already been shot from that revolver. Because he's like, yeah, he shot 4 times when he was chasing us in a van while we were driving down the street in your cab. He shot me once at the dock, and then he shot once earlier. So he's convinced there's
no bullets in the gun.
No bullets in the gun. So he's almost like frustrated with Tanaka, and he runs out of patience. He's like, you know what, bro? Like, I'm done with this. And then Tanaka gets shot in the side, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like, who did that? And Tanaka goes full berserk mode, and his eyes and his pupils just like lose all their color because he can't even believe he shot somebody, like, for real. And so Dabu's bleeding on the ground in the parking lot, and he's talking to Odokawa, and he's like, dude, I thought he shot all these bullets. Where did that last one come from? And Odokawa's like, I was the one that shot you at the dock. So he always had that last bullet on him. And it's like a semi-big reveal, but in that same instance it brings up more questions, because it's like, what gun did he shoot him with? Where did he get that bullet? Like, what... We've been watching Odokawa this whole time. When did that happen?
Yeah, and it's crazy because he gets shot and he's dying on the floor, and then he tells Odokawa, like, yo, take me to the hospital, take me to this unlicensed doctor so he can patch me up. He's like, nah, dude, take yourself to a fucking hospital. You need a good treatment. And he just leaves him there. Yeah. And we're led to believe that that's it. And then that's where we go to what you were talking about.
So you're right. The now that we have that context, the climax is Yano, his associate, in a stolen cop car with the sirens on, chasing Odokawa in his cab. And then it's the Daimon brothers in another cab, because the little Daimon arrested the bigger Daimon, but before he can really arrest him, they're going to arrest Yano. So then it's another chain of police cars chasing the Daimon brothers, because they know they're chasing Yano, who's chasing the cab driver, and they're going onto a bridge that's under construction. So it feels like E.T. or some shit. It feels like an 80s movie. It's such like this weird artistic scene that happens that connects every other character that we've been following, because it's Odokawa jumping off this bridge that's under construction. He blasts through the barriers. His trunk opens. The bills are all spreading out at that same time. And then we're immediately cut to like this description of what Odokawa's childhood was actually like. And
we get readings from the journal.
Right, because Goriki is at the psych hospital that he grew up in, where they were describing what happened after the accident that killed his parents and how he was being monitored there, and they made him keep a journal. So we start getting the narrative from the journal in young Odokawa's perspective, where it's like, my dad was always cheating on my mom, and he had a mistress, and that's why my mom was overweight and overeating and always crying. And
he was always drinking and beating the shit out of me.
And always drinking.
Fat.
Yeah, and both of them were. Both of them were just drinking, beat the shit out of each other. And the reason why he has this weird amorphization with seeing people as animals is because his dad, when he was going to see his mistress, would just drop him off at the zoo.
And he really liked animals.
He liked the animals.
He felt comfortable around animals because he has like super social anxiety.
Right, exactly. And he was just a weird chubby kid in school, but he'd just be spending hours at a time on the weekend by himself at the zoo. And his dad was a drinker, like you were talking about, and young Odokawa got excited because he loved cars. He loved car rides. And one time his dad passed out. His mom put the dad in the car. At night, put Odokawa in the car too. And Odokawa was excited because he's like, oh, us as a family haven't been in the car together for a while.
And not like a night ever.
Yeah. So...
it turns very crazy.
It gets so fucked up because he's excited, and Garuki had looked up public record news articles about how it was suspected that Odokawa's parents, when they died, was a double homicide or a double suicide, like an assisted double suicide or
forced suicide.
Yeah, it was like a forced double suicide or something, however they worded it.
So we're led to believe that the wife ran them over a ditch.
Right. So like the same instance we're having here, she ran over a bridge, drowned the car, and it killed Odokawa's parents, and he got out, but he doesn't remember anything.
Correct.
And when he woke up in the hospital, everybody was a fucking animal. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting that scene in Odokawa's like perspective in his narration, but then we're cut to a scene with Garuki looking at an X-ray of Odokawa's head, and it's just like, dude, this is his condition. Like, he has damage in his frontal cortex that he doesn't know what he's looking at. Mm-hmm. And that's why he sees amorphized animals. And that gives Garuki, like, he's just like, yo, like, Odokawa really is sick. Like, I really diagnosed my patient. But he was doing it as a friend, like what you were describing earlier when he was talking to the chief of medicine at the psych hospital when he was a kid. He was like, I'm not doing this as his personal doctor. I'm doing this because I care about him, because I'm his friend. And it's just so fucked up because that same instance...
We cut back to the car chase.
And it's falling from the sky over the moon. And this is where it connects to all the other characters because they're all watching the car fall in the water at the same time. Rui is with Baba and they're dating and they're watching on TV like this car fall out off a fucking bridge. Or no, Baba was with the hog guy.
Yeah, and they're talking about
Shibageki.
About Homo sapiens and what's the future of Homo sapiens and stuff.
They're breaking up. Their comedy troupe is breaking up.
And Baba always interrupts him. He's like, please don't interrupt me. At the same time, the car's falling. He's like, fuck. Even a car's interrupting me. And then we see the girls from Mr. Kiss looking at it.
Right. And Goruki's with Shikawa, and she's looking at it at that same time. And they followed the car, and they're all like super worried about what's going to happen to Odokawa right here.
And it's weird because we're not putting so much, I guess, context to how all this relates because we haven't really talked about it. But the dipping of the car into the water remind everybody about something in their life.
Right.
Like the baths that the Calico Cat was able to take now that she's in Mystery Kiss. About the fried chicken that the Black Cat liked. Right. About the murder that happened. Because we haven't even talked about what happened with the murder and the disappearance of the other member of Mystery Kiss. Mm-hmm. So the poodle that you're talking about,
Rui,
she was the star. And when they got signed to this low-level studio or whatever, they made the Black Cat into the centerpiece of the trio.
Right. So they originally got cast with Rui as the lead and these other two as the side bitches. And as they got better, a studio executive pointed at the black cat, the one that is disappearing, and was like, she should be the lead. So this is all happening at the same time the cat's falling out of the sky. We get this cut and scene to Rui describing the day that the Mystery Kiss member disappeared that was last seen in Odokawa's car, because Rui, after learning that this side black cat character, her assistant, was going to be the new lead, she asked her to meet her at the studio, and she told her to take a cab, and she was going to meet her there, and then Rui walked into the boardroom where she was going to be, and she was already dead. Mm-hmm. So then Rui's freaking out that she's seeing this dead body in this chair, and
the manager comes in.
Yamamoto comes in, and he's like, what the fuck happened, Rui? Did you kill her? What's going on? And she's like, no, dude, I found her like this. I swear to God.
And their ambition for the team not to break up.
Right, because they're like, Mystery Kiss is about to debut. We can't have this drama right now. So that's when
somebody murdered.
Somebody's been murdered. So that's when they call Yano, and they tell Yano to pick up the body, and he dismembers the corpse and throws it into the river. And that's why they owe all this money to Yano. And that's why the Calico Cat is now having to run the Badger schemes for them, because they owe the mob money for helping dispose of this body.
Correct. And it's just everything's around this murder that the label company was involved with.
Right.
And as Odokawa is falling into the river, we're getting all the explanation about his background, and he goes into the water. We're led to believe the llama, what's her name?
Shirakawa.
We're led to believe that she jumped to go save him, and as he's drowning, he has like an epiphany.
Yeah.
As well, what does he remember?
He remembers how the accident happened. Mm-hmm. His last memory, because when he was at the hospital, when he woke up, he didn't remember anything about the accident. But while he's drowning, he remembers like how his parents died. The mom drove them into the river, into the lake. Mm-hmm. And the dad was drunk in the back seat and drowned them on purpose because she was so depressed. And fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
we just see that fucking Shirakawa uses her fucking kick, her capoeira kick on the window to break it, and this fool passes out. And I knew this moment was coming, but he wakes up in the hospital and he sees his doctor, his friend, and the llama girl, and she sees them as regular people.
Yeah.
And it's such a... When we're in this episode, I know that this is coming.
Right.
But...
It's so obvious, but it's cool how they portray it.
Yes, it's very cool.
It's so dope. And that's like the end of episode 12. I thought it was going to be a 12-episode anime. I didn't even realize there was an episode 13. Mm-hmm. So we get episode 13, which is like Odokawa waking up in the hospital. Or no, the end of episode 12 was him in the ambulance. And it's Odokawa, Garuki, and Shirakawa. And Odokawa wakes up. And Garuki looks at him, he's like, how do I look right now? Because in episode 2, he called him a gorilla, and he's just like, you're a human. You're a person. And Garuki's like, yeah, I am. And that's where he realizes that, Garuki realizes that his trauma from his brain accident is fixed. Mm-hmm. And that's where it's cool / like disappointing. Well, it's not disappointing. That's a weird way to put it. But like, from here on out, we're going to start seeing all the characters that we saw as amorphized animals as humans, and what they're really like as humans, and how they relate to like how Odokawa saw them. But that also makes it seem like there could never be a season 2.
Correct.
Because like his brain trauma's fixed. Like he doesn't see anybody's animals anymore, which was the whole fun of Odd Taxi.
Yeah, because we do see, and I don't know, I love to see either just mental wellness, mental recovery, self success and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That I really love where he went, where he needed to go. Because honestly, like I said at the beginning of the episodes, I started looking. I wanted to look for what was going on with his head, and I completely forgot about it because of the trauma and all.
Which is so dope, you know.
Which is really good.
So good writing that you just forget about something that important.
It's fucking really good. And yeah, we see all the... And it's weird because at first when you find out that he's seen the animal version of people, you kind of want to see the human part, but once you get to this episode, you're like, nah, give me the animals back.
Right, because you start seeing them one by one, because it's like Ruki, he really is just a big dude, and he looks like a gorilla. And Shirakawa's cool because she's pretty, you know what I mean? Like, the first thing, like, Odokawa never... Part of his anxiety as a child was that he couldn't speak to girls because he was scared of pretty women. Mm-hmm. And he's been chopping it up, and, like, there was that scene... that we didn't even describe properly in like episode 3 where they're at the bench park and Shirakawa's like, no, I love you, I like you, like in the Japanese I love you way, like the I like you, I'm romantically interested in you thing, and he's just like, no, you fucking don't, like there's no way, you're too pretty. And then once he sees her as a human, she's like, how do I look to you? And he's like, he looks away immediately, and he's just like, you're really pretty. He can't even look at her. So he wakes up in the hospital and she's there, and he still can't look at her because he's just like, I can't look at this super pretty girl. And she's super interested in him, which I think was kind of cool, actually.
No, it is really cool because it just comes full circle in the best way.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't want more, you don't want less. Well, I would really love the Yanu wouldn't rap so much, but it is great. It's a great anime. I had a lot of fun. This is something from the new seasons. I mean, from the new anime.
This came out spring 2021, bro. Like, this ended 3 weeks ago. Like, this is a brand new anime, and it's so good. Like, it would never be nominated for like best anime of spring 2021 because My Hero Academia season 5 came out in the same season, which like. Those are popularity contests at the end of the day, and ODDTAXI wasn't that popular. But that's what's cool about it being such a solid anime original. Because we've talked before about like how Studio Mappa is doing all these great manga adaptations, but they're not actually getting that much money because they're manga adaptations. ODDTAXI is an anime original. Like, these studios are getting all that cash.
And you know what's crazy? The fucking CGI during the car parts, during the car scenes.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
But it looks good. We're getting into all this new anime next month. But do you have anything else to say about ODDTAXI? ODDTAXI was great. The intro, the outro was fucking amazing.
I did. There's just some follow-up information at the end. So Idai gives Odokawa like the last 100,000 or 100 million yen. And he's just like, do whatever you want with it, bro. Like, you earned it. This is what fell out of the cab at the time. And Odokawa, his idea is that he doesn't want the money. Like, he doesn't want to use it on himself. He's like, my bills are paid. Like, my shit's good. Like, I don't need this money. But he wants to give it back to the foundation that funded him when he was an orphan child. And what he ends up figuring out is that it's the Yakuza tapir at his sauna, at the bathhouse he goes to with all the tattoos that we talk about, like episode 3, that was the benefactor for him. Because part of Odokawa's flashback when he was at the hospital was that a tapir took care of all his shit. So he approached.
You ain't gotta worry about.
Yeah, so he approaches him, and the tapir is Yano's and Dobu's boss. Like, he's the head Yakuza this whole time. And we've been introduced to, like, he's been in every episode except for like episode 1. So Odokawa's talking to him. He's like, dude, what the fuck happened? Like, why are your boys so fucked up? And he's just like, well, they got too caught up in the rat race of it. Like, the one rule was you don't hurt people. And we've seen both Yano and
hurting people
and Dabu just fucking everybody up.
Yeah.
But Odokawa gives him the money anyways. He's just like, it's that justice logic where it's like, yes, he's hurt a lot of people, but I'm sure he's helped a lot more people with this money, just in the same way he helped me. So he gives him this money. He's just like, give it to however many kids you need. Yeah,
it almost gave me like a The Departed kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I'm so glad you brought that up. That's exactly what it made me think of.
You know, because like, yeah, I'm gonna make you be a cop, but guess what? You're gonna work for me. But he also took care of him. But he's also a coke dealing hooker fucking addict. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But it's really good, man. I had a lot of fun watching it. The animations on characters.
Hold on, we haven't even talked about the last reveal.
What happened?
So the very last scene in episode 13 of ODDTAXI.
You're right.
So we still haven't talked about who killed the original Black Cat member of Mystery Kiss. her name was Yuki. So we still don't know who killed Yuki, because it did become public that Yuki was a member of Mystery Kiss. So the Mystery Kiss members and the manager had to go on a public record and be like, yo, like, we don't know who it was, but we're really sorry that we tried to replace her last minute with this chick Sakura, blah, 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 blah.
We tried to cover it up for the family or whatever bullshit.
Right, because we wanted the best interests of Mystery Kiss, and we wanted their debut to still work out and not be clouded in this. And so we get a scene from the replacement Yuki member named Sakura, where all we know so far was that Yuki went to the record label to meet up with Rui to talk about how Rui didn't want to lose her spot as the lead member. Mm-hmm. But the person that found Yuki and killed her in that boardroom was Sakura, the girl that replaced her, because she tells everybody that she was the fourth. She was the runner-up, which is why she was brought in right away.
Correct.
And she desperately wanted to be a part of Mystery Kiss. So Sakura killed Yuki, and she's on the phone with her mom. She's absolutely batshit crazy. And again, she's a dishonest narrator, so we don't know if she's really talking to anybody. That was the whole sense I was getting on when she's giving this exposition on the phone at the end of the episode, where she's like, hey mom, so I got away with killing Yuki, and now I'm still going to be part of Mystery Kiss, but we're getting all this bad publicity, but I guess any publicity is good publicity, right? So I guess our debut's still going to go well. Ha 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 ha. Just super crazy shit, just talking on the side of the street. And the episode ends with Sakura entering Odokawa's taxi after she had been looking for him as a mean to tie up loose ends, because she's still on the phone and she's like, yeah, I took care of one member, maybe I should take care of the other member, talking about Rui. And she's like, ha ha ha, I am so greedy, like maybe that is too greedy of me.
And then she has like this she's like, I need to get back to the taxi I got back on the one time.
Right.
Something like that.
So it's totally like this thing where it's an anime original that doesn't deserve a sequel, but it ends on a cliffhanger. Yeah. Because the very last scene is Sakura inside of Odokawa's taxi. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like she's already, air quotes, dealt with Rui, and now she needs to deal with Odokawa to tie up the loose ends. And that's the end of ODDTAXI. And it's so... I suggest everybody watch it, because it's so hard to describe, because there's so many fakes and there's so many, like, subversions of these plot lines.
Double crosses.
Yeah, and there's so many double crosses. It's like trying to describe fucking Ocean's 11. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many double crosses.
With a dash of, like, perfect blue.
It's so hard. Yeah. Just everybody go watch it. And it feels so quick, because it's like 15 minutes of content per episode, and it's only 12 episodes, 13 episodes.
It was great, but yeah, it's fucking great. I love it. I miss it almost.
You miss it already?
Yeah,
but see, that's what I'm saying. So, fuck. I want to talk about what we're going to talk about next week. So maybe we should just go into the nerd down.
Nerd down.
Nerd down. Nerd down. And we're back with the nerd down. What I did want to talk about, that I think it's super cool that you already miss ODDTAXI, because what we're watching this next week, is like an anime that came out in 2010, which was like on Adult Swim, and you're gonna notice it's one of those Adult Swim Toonami anime because it has the exact same dub cast as Lelouch of the Rebellion. Okay. Like the exact same voices. Like the main character's voice is the voice of the Toonami guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And you're going to pick up on how all these characters have the exact same voices. But the reason why I'm saying it's going to remind you of ODDTAXI is that it's literally the same thing. It's a microcosm community in Tokyo that are loosely associated with the mob and how they deal with it. Mm-hmm. Which is the plot of ODDTAXI. But what I was thinking about, like, yesterday while watching it was that generationally they're both like sequels to like millennial culture, because Durarararara came out in like 2010, and it has a lot to do with like early internet boards, like Discord almost nowadays. You know what I mean? It's just like having secret passwords to an internet board and how you can like commit crimes like that. And ODDTAXI was like, how can I connect these people and commit crimes that way. But being 11 years sooner, we're talking about the same generation of people. We're talking about, like, if Odd Taxi is us, me, you, millennials that are like almost 30 or like in their 30s and are working professionals, is like how we were 10, 11 years ago when we were kids and we were coming up and trying to like make our own as adults in these micro communities and how we interact with each other. And
a different way to tell a story to the same generation, like time apart.
Right. And I think you're going to love it so much because it's literally almost the exact same plot. Like, it's 26 episodes, so it's like more than twice as long as Odd Taxi. But it does that thing where it's like there's this huge introduction of all these character names all at once, but then each character gets like their own episode backstory. And then you're going to learn how they all connect later on and how they're all a part of like this way bigger storyline that we didn't see in episode 1. So I think we're gonna have, it's gonna be a cool sequel talking about season 1 next week, and we just talked about Odd Taxi.
Back to the Odd Taxi.
Right.
That's cool, man. I'm excited. That's gonna be our next episode. That's gonna be episode 53. We're getting close to the end of season 2 of Between Nerds. We're gonna maybe do a recap of our episodes that we've done, but after that we have K-On! I haven't seen it. K-On's not like these other two.
You told me I might hate it. It's because I never know with you, especially when it comes to slice of life. So like you like the adulty slice of life, like Odd Taxi and like Agretzko, and maybe you'll like because they have adult elements to them, right? You tend to not like the more like teenage elements to slice of life, which was the appeal at the time.
I'm not gonna like it.
I don't think you'll not like it because you do like Japanese pop, which is like a really, really big part of K-On! Because it's literally about bitches in a band. So you tend to like the music. You don't respond negatively to like waifu characters, just like really prettily drawn tropey girl characters, you know what I mean? But if you were to hate it, it would be in
I hate her already.
The actual slice of life stuff, when it's like the relationship between the girls, and it's just like, oh, I'm tired of playing guitar, this shit's too hard, but with the power of friendship we can have a better band together.
Hell yeah, I like it.
That's gonna be K-On!
Okay, I like it.
And then after that, we are going to be watching something we are super excited about. We're going to be watching season 2 of Beastars.
Yeah. I watched the first episode today.
I haven't watched any of it. I'm trying to keep my mind blank until I get there. Because, like, K-On's like 24 episodes, too. Yeah, that's 26 episodes. K-On's like 24 episodes. I'm trying to keep my mind blank until then.
So we might have V back for that episode for Beastars. Because I told her, you want to watch the first episode of Beastars? She's like, oh, yeah, let's do it. So we started watching it, but at the end of the episode, I was like, okay, that's enough of Beastars because I can't watch it right now. I need to watch it.
You're going to forget it 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, and I don't want to watch it twice this close to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But yeah, man, we also got into Loki.
We got into Loki, but one more thing. One more about our lineup. So after Beastars, I'm thinking we'll leave it. We might change it, but for now, I would probably assume that we're probably going to watch Godzilla Singular Point.
Yes,
which was a Crunchyroll original. It's Studio Orange, same studio that makes Beastars, and we've been looking forward to this since like February when it was first announced.
Yeah, we were a little...
So that's already most of August planned out.
Yeah, we were a little skeptical because of, like, you know, MAPPA is using fantastic CGI and 3D modeling.
Right, so it's a MAPPA and Studio Orange collaboration, and I haven't heard a whole lot of people talking about it, especially for something as popular as Godzilla.
From what I heard, the Studio MAPPA's, like, head animator is getting his ass beat.
He's like the head like production designer. Like he's in charge of like all their works all at once. And like Mappa's just been like working off the bit this whole time because they even have the Chainsaw Man
coming up,
anime
which looks great.
And Chainsaw Man's probably like, it's like how it's been described to me, I haven't read any Chainsaw Man, but the popularity behind it feels a lot like the Demon Slayer. Like when Demon Slayer was announced for the anime, everyone was like, "Holy fuck!" Like probably the best manga being released right now is getting an anime adaptation. This is guaranteed to be like the best thing to happen, if not the season, the year. And that's how they're treating Chainsaw Man.
It just feels like, more metal.
Yeah, it's like Attack on Titan, but having fun with it. But it's also the same popularity as Demon Slayer, but it's gore. Oh my god, I don't even know. I might try to read all of Chainsaw Man before it comes out.
Haven't you read it? Aren't you reading it?
Chainsaw Man, no.
No? Oh, I thought you were.
I read all of Demon Slayer.
Oh, okay.
I read all of Demon Slayer. I haven't read a manga front to back in a while since Demon Slayer concluded. Like, I still read My Hero Academia and One Piece week to week, but I haven't picked up a new manga and finished it since Demon Slayer. And if everyone's not fucking lying to me, and it's true that it's equally as good, if not better, if not portraying a different genre in a better way, then I might as well start and finish Chainsaw Man.
Hell yeah.
So I'm super excited. I don't even know how we got into this.
No, well, we went a little bit past our next month. So yeah, once we get there, we'll get with a new hashtag. Please use the hashtag Lady Nerds.
Please use hashtag Lady Nerds in original tweet or Instagram posts to be automatically entered into our July giveaway. For every like and retweet on original tweets and Instagram posts using hashtag Lady Nerds, we will be donated to Mija Yes You Can for the better advancement of women in the El Paso area.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, at Between Nerds. Email us question, comments, or concerns, betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com.
We are trying to get stickers. We're trying to get a business license, but Texas sucks.
Oh my god, if anyone wants to give us $500 to buy the LLC, just hit us up. I have my Apple Pay open.
Yeah, I have mine too. So, we like I said, we also got into Loki.
We got into Loki.
Everybody finished Loki. Everybody fell in love with it, with Alligator Loki, Classic Loki.
Sylvie, or what was her name? Sylvie, excuse me. I also watched Black Widow this week. Black Widow, it reminded me more of a Jason Bourne movie than a Marvel movie.
I think that's not the way that they wanted to go, almost.
But, like, that's what's so weird about it. Because it's like, I remember watching the Bourne movies as a kid. The first time I watched them, I was like, oh, shit, this is so exciting. There's all this shit happening all the time. But then, like, you really try to break it down, and you're just like, this shit doesn't make any sense. It's just, like, backdrops for action to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Act 1 and Act 3 in Black Widow feel like that. Act 2 drags. Like, the movie could have been, like, 15-20 minutes shorter if they had just made Act 2 shorter, which would have made the whole flow of the film better. Because it's like, Act 1 is just like kicks and flips and all this crazy helicopter shit and breaking out of prison.
And the Russian accents
and all this wild shit happening. And then Act 2 is just nothing but just like sappy talking about nothing for like nothing. 50 minutes.
Yeah, dude. I thought it... And you know what? I didn't expect a lot from it. I knew it was going to be a throwaway movie. I knew it was going to be the only scene that matters is going to be the end credit scene. If you do hang on to the feels from the past movies, Infinity War or Endgame, yeah, you're like, man, you know, maybe her death wasn't so sad because she did kind of like finish her business, kind of.
I remember almost. I was really sad when she died.
Yeah, she did.
In Endgame, I was really sad.
Yeah. But if you guys haven't seen it, the spoiler fucking scene is just that they put a hit on Bort.
Yeah,
on Hawkeye.
Yeah, on Hawkeye. Yeah. Or whatever the fuck his Japanese is now. Ronin. Ronin. But, so we don't know how it's going to be related, but what's more interesting is the end of Loki more than anything, because Loki really felt like it was on its own island, because WandaVision was just like its own backstory that didn't feel too connected, maybe at the end, because now she has universal level powers. Falcon and the Winter Soldier didn't see all that multi-connected, and it had all those rewrites, so who even knows what they really wanted out of that show.
Uh-huh. And then all the delays and everything, it's just ridiculous. We don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right, but the end of Loki is starting to tie it together to what we think Act 4.
Phase 4.
Phase 4 in the MCU is going to be like, and we knew it was going to be multi-dimensional, multi-universal shit, because we already knew that Doctor Strange was called the Multiverse of Madness.
He has to fix a lot of shit.
Right, but we're finally starting to get here that, like, there's going to be a season 2 of Loki, and that our Loki variant, the one we've been following in the show, is now going to have to reset things because he kind of fell for the scam that, what was his name? The end villain?
Kang.
Kane,
he who remains.
He who remains, Kane the Conqueror. We're finally getting a sense that this was his plan the whole time, to like reset all of the timelines and like fuck everything up. Because what we even saw from, or my understanding so far from like Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, is it felt like its side story. It felt like its own subset of stories. The Eternals felt like its own subset of stories. But it's the MCU. They have to be connected.
Love and Thunder too. Like, I was very... I had my questions about why would they want to introduce Lady Loki like that. And I was like, really? They're going to go like that? Like, public correctness that they just want to change his gender like that? Like, out of nowhere? But then now it makes sense. Maybe we're getting like another multiversal Thor like we got in Loki. We got Throg. The Frog Thor. Right. And I don't know, it just feels so much, it makes a lot more sense.
I think it's super exciting. I think the next thing for Disney Plus is Obi-Wan or Kenobi, whatever the fuck they're called.
Kenobi, yes.
It's called Kenobi, right? The show's called Kenobi.
I believe so.
And I think that comes out within the next 2 months, which I'm super, super excited for, because we don't even get season 2 of The Mandalorian, I think, until like January of next year.
I'm excited to see that too. Hey, that's not that far away, bro. We're already...
I remember at the time, like, the end of The Mandalorian season 2 was like December, right? So being in December 2020 and then seeing the end of the episode and be like, new season, early 2022, it feels so long, but it's really only a year. And now we're like half a year from that.
Yep.
And fuck, I don't even know. Besides that, me and Karen have been watching Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. She grew a dick. And now Toru's trying to butt because she grew a dick. And if you want some wild 2 episodes to watch the first 2 episodes of season 2 of Miss Kobayashi, and you can see some wild fucking shit happening with some dragons.
And what else?
I gave you my parents' Spectrum login, so by next week I expect you to be caught up on Rick and Morty.
Yes, I will. I'll watch them later today.
And it's the last episode of Rick and Morty. I'm not gonna talk anything plot wise, because like the internet is so torn on the last episode. It's almost annoying, because me and Karen watched it on Sunday. We were dying of laughter. Like, I thought it was the funniest episode of Rick and Morty in like 3-4 years. But the internet was pissed because it's also fucking disgusting at the same time. So I'm even watching... So I got here maybe 2-3 hours ago, and to better understand the last scene in Loki, I looked up New Rockstars, right? And I was watching the episode, or their explanation video on it. But... the guy from New Rockstars, when he's trying to break down the most recent episode of Rick and Morty, he's pissed. Like, he absolutely cannot stand it because it's disgusting. Like, it's straight, just like taboo, societal bullshit. But when you're watching it in context, it's so hilarious. Like, it's the stupidest, funniest thing you've ever seen.
You know me, I love scandalous shit.
You might love it.
Yeah.
And, oh, God, it's disgusting. Like, it's skin-crawly level gross. But it's so funny when you see an animation. And then, what I really like what Adult Swim's doing this season is they're doing, like, after-episode, like, interviews with Dan Harmon and, like, whoever the lead writer was that episode. And you're seeing the context that went into it. And you see Dan Harmon be like, well, first we had this super gross idea, and we just made a whole episode around it. And we were like, if people hate it, people hate it. What are they going to do? Because it's Rick and Morty, and you're going to watch it anyways.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it now that I have it, but I couldn't get it, so maybe...
Well, what I did want to talk about, though, is that last week or 2 weeks ago, the episode with the female... Captain Planet, the voice of her was the voice of the chick from Community that had accused Dan Harmon of sexual harassment.
Oh, really?
Right, and we've talked about that previously in Dan Harmon's history with her, and like how Rick and Morty almost didn't get picked up by Adult Swim any longer because Dan Harmon had all that controversy around him. So I wonder what happened there, because she takes a major role in an episode of Rick and Morty, and now all of a sudden she's not mad at Dan Harmon, which, like, I'm sure Dan Harmon was creepy, but like, if he was fucked up, if somebody was weird with me at work or something, like, I'm not going to go work for them again. Mm-hmm. I wonder what actually, like, what understanding they came to. Like, I'm sure Dan Harmon was being a weirdo. Like, he's a fucking loser. You know what I mean? He's a nerd. Like, I'm sure he was being weird. But, like, what is their business relationship like now is my question.
Who knows, man? It almost feels like the weird scandal shit that's going on in Japan with, you know, all these people just having weird fetishes, but over there it's less frowned upon, but other things are more frowned upon than over here.
It's like cuddle cafes.
You know? Yeah, so with the whole Dan Harmon thing, it just makes me think about like Aziz Ansari.
Yeah.
How somehow he might have gotten, you know.
You didn't watch the latest season of Master of None, did you?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I believe so.
With the lesbians?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because like I 3-4 weeks ago already, when I went to LA with Karen, I watched like the entirety of the latest season of Master of None at the airport, right?
Mm-hmm. Very cool season.
It's so dope. I've always loved how stylized like Aziz Ansari's actual directing is. Like, it feels like an anime almost, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It almost feels like Bo Burnham's Inside. It's like light pianos, abstract shots, a lot of scenery work, until they actually establish a character in the shot, which feels so like trippy at the time, because it's like you're falling into this scenario, into this scene, and then all of a sudden a person's in it and you're like taken aback. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, the momentum of the show, it's very like, it pulls you and pushes you and it pulls you again. It's weird,
right? It's like watching have you ever watched an ASMR like video or a TikTok?
Yeah, like, this is stupid. Oh, wait a minute.
Right, it gives you those tingles on the back of your neck, right? It on the back of your neck. It's just some weird chick making weird sounds, but it makes you feel comfortable, and like, it settles you to the point that like it's like being worked on by like a nurse or a doctor. Like, you feel taken care of, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how it's almost like watching the last season of Master of None. Mm-hmm. Like, you feel settled into and like tucked into bed, into the scenario, into the show. But then the actual context of the scene is so unsettling, because it's about like not being able to get a kid. It's about people fucking your wife. It's about like... And it's so...
growing up as a lesbian.
Yeah, growing up as a lesbian and being harassed, and your mom not understanding who you are as a person. And being black and
being a woman.
Oh, God, yeah. And it doesn't feel tacky. You know what I mean? It feels like real shit.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because when Aziz Ansari is in it, it's so short. And it's like he doesn't feel comfortable putting himself in the spotlight anymore, because he's still not comfortable after his whole, air quotes, cancellation or whatever.
Correct.
But it's still so... neat to see that everything I loved about his directing and production style is still there. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like more refined, because now he feels like he has to be behind camera.
It almost feels like an apology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a super abstract way.
Yeah.
In a super... because it's like I'm directing things in a way that are so sympathetic that I want you to forgive me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, please. It's like, this is the way I think, and he put the way he thought into his directing style into his own show.
Right.
So it just feels very nice. It feels, like you said, you feel tucked into this plot line.
Right.
It's very good.
It's so good.
Very good.
Besides that, I don't think I've watched anything else. I don't think I've been a part of anything else.
We're getting What If soon. I think next month. There's a new Marvel one.
Oh, right.
The animated one. Yeah. Well, it's all 3D modeling, so you can call it 2D.
Okay, it's 3D modeling that's presented as 2D in the same sense that
Invincible was?
Invincible was, exactly. Thank you.
I heard... sorry. I heard that Seth Rogen is making a movie based on Invincible.
I think it's...
Not based, but inspired on Invincible.
I think it's weird where Seth Rogen's like career path is right now. Because like I feel like he was my favorite, like, kind comedian besides like Will Ferrell in movies in the 2000s. And now he's very much like, none of his movies have done good in a while.
He did get very involved, I believe, in his wife's mom or dad. He has Alzheimer's, so he did like a whole like special of like Alzheimer's, like a charity for like an Alzheimer's program and all this stuff. So he's been more in that entrepreneur side.
I know he has his own weed business now too, because Seth Rogen, his most recent thing that I'm actually reminded me of is like, he has a role in the first 2 episodes of the most recent season of Big Mouth. And it's about like homophobia and transphobia. And maybe he does need more work like that, because it's kind of cool seeing somebody that was so controversial in the early 2000s and like how he views like controversial concepts now. Like, it seems like he was already old then. He's like in his 40s now, but it's cool to see like his maturity and how like his directing was the best part of Pineapple Express. You know what I mean? Like he had so much like comedic talent behind the camera, and I'd be interested to see that again behind the camera. Like, I don't know why he feels forced to bomb on these comedy shows with him as the lead role that don't go anywhere. Yeah,
because I think the last movie I saw of him was Good Boys. And that was meh. It wasn't a classic. It was just meh. It was just...
And that was just like something he did as a favor to Jonah Hill.
Okay.
In Good Boys, because Jonah Hill was the lead director and producer for Good Boys.
Oh, okay. I did not.
So, you get what I mean? Like, I don't know where Seth Rogen is professionally anymore.
Well, I'm glad he's still there.
Yeah.
He calls Ted Cruz a cuck all the time, so...
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
And fuck Ted Cruz, bro. I don't even want to get into politics, but
okay.
As far as nerd shit's concerned, that's all I've got, man.
That's all we got. So that was episode 52, nerds. Thank you for joining us again. Watch Do Da 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 with us for next week, and we'll see you next Saturday, or for you, your Monday.
Yeah, we'll see you next Monday. Please don't forget to use hashtag LadyNerds to help us support Mihai Yes You Can, and you can win some cool anime shit. This has been Between
Nerds.
Nerds.